There's not a racing venue like this anywhere in the world. The one and only Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama. It's the Augusta of motorsport, where the incredibly detailed and immaculate surrounds take a backseat to the on-track action today. It's time for IndyCar on NBC. This is round 4 of the championship, the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. Are you ready for the 2022 NTT IndyCar season? McLaughlin leads them to green. He is now an IndyCar race winner.
Boy, he was. I can't believe it.
This is the XPEL 375.
Green.
McLaughlin to the lead. Here comes Joseph Newgarden on the high side. It's going to be a drag race. Newgarden has done it.
Oh, let's go. Good team. We're 600, bud.
Joseph Newgarden is a Long Beach Grand Prix winner. And the Penske party continues. It's been an incredible start to the championship for the two-time champion Joseph Newgarden from nearby Nashville, Tennessee. And Marty Snyder, when you're racing as the championship leader, it's pretty cool, but he's racing for many more reasons today, isn't he?
Yeah, like 1 million reasons for Joseph Newgarden. You saw the wins at a street course at Long Beach, the Oval at Texas. If he can check off the road course here at Barber, a $1 million bonus from People Ready, so no pressure there. Could you have picked a better track, though, Joseph? You won here 3 times at Barber.
Well, it's a good one. I love this place. This was always my home race until we got the Music City Grand Prix. But yeah, People's Ready. You know, it's a cool deal they're doing. Obviously, you know, the big component of that's for charity. And you know, if we were able to win something for Serious Fun Children's Network and Wags and Walks out of Nashville, I'd be over the moon. So my mind's on the race. I completely forget about that tidbit until people talk to me. But I'm ready to race. I think our car is very good. I feel good about Team Chevy and PPG, and you know, I think today could be a good day, hopefully. But you never know. These races, they turn sideways really quick.
You mentioned it would be $500K for you and your team and $500K for a charity. Let's talk about the weekend here at Barber, though. It's been chaotic. We've seen lots of red flags, lots of things happening on track. That concern you at all going into this race?
I'm not concerned, but I definitely don't have a good, firm handle on what's going to happen. You know, I think the moment you predict a chaotic race, it's green all the way to, you know, start to finish. And then when you think the other way, it goes the opposite end. So it's typical IndyCar these days. It's unpredictable, it's fun, it's constantly moving. You know, we just have to be nimble as always. I think if we're nimble in the race and we have a fast car and we execute, you know, that's when good things happen. And so we try and do that every race. But what today's gonna hold, your guess is as good as mine.
There you go. Joseph Newgarden with $1 million on the line. Diff starts 7th this afternoon.
It's certainly an extra incentive to do well, isn't it? Thanks for that, Marty. Hi, folks. Lee Diffie along with Townsend Bell and James Hinchcliffe ready to go here. Interesting, fellas, to hear Joseph say there, this race could go sideways. The weather went sideways this morning. We saw a band of thunderstorms roll through, so we are truly lucky to have the blue skies above here on a gorgeous 72-degree day. So, Hinch, you've raced here 10 times. So we've got a youngster on the pole position in Renus VK leading this 26-car field to green. People always talk about the beauty of this place, how special it is, how spectacular it is, but it's also pretty tricky, and people enjoy racing here. Why?
I'll tell you why. This is one of the greatest tracks to drive an IndyCar at speed, through these rolling hills here at Barber, and that's because of these long, fast corners. You get to really test the limits of aerodynamics, of the downforce. It's tough on cars, it's tough on tires, Townsend, and it's tough on drivers. Those long, fast corners mean high G-forces for these drivers, very physical, probably the most physical race of the year. So not only taking care of your car, your tires, your fuel, but taking care of yourself today is going to be a very big component of this race.
No question, this place is difficult, Diff, but I think the analogy I like to use is you've all heard walking the tightrope. This place, you are sprinting the tightrope. There are razor-thin margins to get the lap time right. To be fast here, you have to be willing to hang it out, but you have to be precise when you do that. I think that's why we've seen so many issues this weekend in practice and qualifying, and here when you drop a wheel, sometimes it really pays a big price.
So do you hear what Hinch and Townsend just mentioned? Well, here it is for real. This place has many trapdoors, if you wish. This is what went down across practice and qualifying yesterday. We start with Alexander Rossi. This was brutal.
Yeah, huge impact for Rossi in practice. A little bit of debris caught Helio Castroneves as well. Very, very extensive damage on the 27 car, and it just shows when you push the limits here, accidents can happen. His day was almost done, but that crew got it fixed, Townsend.
Yeah, ended up being the fastest qualifying Andretti Autosport car. Great recovery out of Rossi. Here's Jimmy Johnson. gets loose and decides, whoa, I'm going to take pit in, narrowly avoids disaster. That could have been a huge impact. And then Castro Neves in qualifying gets it backwards, up against the fence, down by the museum corner, and it continued.
It doesn't take much. Blind corners like here in 14 can catch you out. You just have to drop a small wheel on exit, and you can see what happened to David Malukas there. So very razor-thin margins, like you said.
And Marcus Ericsson brought out one of multiple red flags. He said, I simply committed too hard. And that's what scuppered the chances of Colton Herta, who was the car to beat all weekend. Instead, the pole went to 21-year-old Rinus VeeKay, his second career pole. He wasn't the only one to have a terrific Saturday here in Birmingham, Alabama, as Dylan Welsh tells us more. Who else went well, Dylan?
Well, Diff, it's been an incredible weekend for the smallest team in the paddock. That's the Juncos Hollinger number 77 car. They've been in the top 10 in nearly every session this weekend. Were fastest yesterday in final practice, and had it not been for one of those ill-timed red flags, driver Callum Islett's confident that they could have turned a lap good enough to start them in the Firestone Fast 6. They had to settle for 11th, but they've approached this weekend one session at a time. They've improved the car every time they're on the racetrack, and Callum's going to try to write the final chapter of what's been a storybook weekend, again from 11th this afternoon. Kevin Lee.
Dylan, the momentum and resurgence continues for 22-year-old Pato O'Ward, and the season did not start the way he would like after contending for the championship the last couple of years, and he admits that I lost a little bit of focus. I had to do a little bit of a reset. He was thinking about possibly with Formula One at some point. He was interested in a better contract. Well, he's got the contract sorted out. A good offer he likes on the table. He says, I'm only focused on the task at hand each weekend, and that's to be fast. Coming off a 5th at Long Beach, he's been fast all weekend, and Marty Snyder, Pato O'Ward, starts second today.
Kevin, one of the things to watch today, there are a lot of drivers starting outside the top 5 that really feel like they've had maybe some of the best cars here at Barber this weekend, including Colton Herta. He was the odds-on favorite to win the pole position yesterday, but because of a red flag late in qualifying, they never got to really make their run in the Fast 6. So Colton Herta, or the Fast 12, so Colton Herta will start 10th today. A long way to come for Colton Herta, but he told me a moment ago, my goal at the start of the race, don't lose spots number 1, but number 2, I feel like we have a fast enough car. We don't have to play strategy. We can pass our way up through the field and win this race on merit. So, Diff, that's going to be fun to watch. A lot of fast guys starting outside the top 5 today.
That is always a fun part when those quick guys are coming through from behind, the likes of Colton Herta in that Gainbridge Honda, looking for his first win of this 2022 season. Want to remind you all, race fans, that all season long, you can grab your mobile device. It's as simple as this. Scan the QR code on the screen for a chance to win $25,000 with thanks to our friends at Hy-Vee. Scan the code and register at HyVdeals.com for your chance to take home the big prize. Why wouldn't you do it? I just can't believe the day that we've got here, considering the way the day started. There was so much rain, lightning, thunder, and now we've got this right on cue in time for race time here at Barber Motorsports Park. Let's get this thing going. Let's go trackside for the command.
Race fans, it's time for the most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome the Grand Marshal, Heisman Trophy winner, and college football legend, Tim Tebow.
Drivers, start your engines!
Engines are fired. We are ready to go. The Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama is next here on NBC. NBC's coverage of IndyCar is brought to you by Honda, an official vehicle of the NTT IndyCar Series. Code 3 Associates, proud partner of Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. When disaster strikes animals, Code 3 answers the call. And by NTT, official sponsor and technology partner of the NTT IndyCar Series. We are back. We're here for the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama, and appropriately the Honda starting grid for all 26 cars, with the 21-year-old Dutch driver Rinus VeeKay on the pole alongside Pato O'Ward, who started on the pole last year. But on the second row is the defending race winner and defending series champion, with thanks to American Legion. This is the view that we'll have from Alex Pallou's number 10 Honda.
Gotta love that nose cam. Couple rows back, Romain Grosjean, the Phoenix. This guy has been so fast this weekend in practice and qualifying, but just didn't get it together at the right time. He'll start 8th, but he's got a lot of muscle next to him. Thanks to AutoNation, we ride on board here, and Joseph Newgarden's that muscle. Series points leader. They'll start out on row 4.
And just behind them in row 5, Graham Rahal with the Code 3 Associates on board. He's been leading the charge for the expanded RLL team this year. And Colin Herta right next to him. We know he's got more pace than where he qualified, so look for him to be making a charge.
Look at all the cords plugged into Graham Rahal. Cool suit, drink tube. It's going to be a hot one in there. This is Christian Lundgaard, the 30 car. Thanks to Shield Cleansers, the rookie has been very impressive in his first IndyCar season, but he has 6-time IndyCar champion Scott Dixon starting next to him on row 7.
And back to Helio Castroneves, thanks to AutoNation riding on board with him. Had a problem in qualifying, caused a red flag, and he is desperate to get his month of May started right, as he's already looking forward to the month of May at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in that drive for 5.
And then if we go back, unfortunately, to the 26th and final position, the Carvana Honda for Jimmy Johnson. You know, Jimmy was watching during the thunderstorms this morning the 2018 race here at Barber because it was rain-filled, and he's never run in the rain in an IndyCar, so he was doing his homework, but thankfully he doesn't have to worry about that on this beautiful blue sky day now here in Birmingham, Alabama. This is a very much a track position race. It's all about strategy, Marty Snyder, so what's the inside word?
Well, Diff, not only pressure on the drivers that you guys just talked about throughout the entire field, but also pressure on the strategists. A lot of talk about possibly 2 stops today, possibly 3. Barry Wanzer called the winning race last year, so is everything truly on the table today for you strategists, Barry?
For sure. I mean, the 2-stop and the 3-stop strategy is there. You know, last year we had some early yellow that really helped us do the 2-stop strategy, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, we're starting the race and see how it plays out. See if we get a yellow, but we haven't committed to either one right yet. So
how quickly do you have to make that decision?
We'll see. We'll see how much we're racing when we first start. But if you're going to do the 2-stop, you need to start saving it right away. Otherwise, it gets worse.
There you go. And Townsend, you know, kind of starting third, maybe he can kind of play that game a little bit and watch what everybody else is doing sitting back there. Alex Palou trying to win back-to-back here at Barber.
Yeah, Palou, one of the more patient drivers in the field. Let's take a look at the Honda track preview in just a second. Here on board, the number 45, thanks to Hy-Vee and Honda. That's Jack Harvey on the left, but this place winds and ribbons. It rises and falls through the hills here just outside Birmingham, the lovely Barber Motorsports Park. They call it the Augusta of racetracks, and it never disappoints. Absolutely beautiful. James, you raced here a bunch. What's the hardest corner in your opinion?
I mean, for me, turn 5 is a big challenge. Great passing opportunity. Definitely the best one on the racetrack. But my favorite part is a little bit further down the track. It's not down here through the Alabama roller coaster, blind entry through turn 8 down over the curbs. It's right here in turn 12 and 13. Absolutely beautiful in an IndyCar.
All right, ready to go. We're racing in the month of May. Indianapolis not too far away, but this is Alabama, and we've got a youngster on the pole position. Rinus VeeKay is going to lead them to green. They've waved it off. Race control is not happy with how they packed up. They are too spread out. So we're going to go around again and reform.
It's like a Saturday night shootout at the dirt track. They don't like that. They don't like the fact that it's so spread out. They're going to stack it up and force these guys to be disciplined. The reason nobody wants to be stacked up is they don't want to get offline and get any dirt on their tires, I think, James. So they're going to have another go here.
It is tough here coming to that green flag. It's a very short distance from the exit of the last turn to the start-finish line. And like you say, there's big, long, sweeping corners leading up to it. You don't want to be on the outside of that and pick up marbles. Luckily, there's not a lot of marbles on the track because of all the rain we had.
Kyle Novak, the race director, he sends a message, hey, let's work as a team and do it my way.
This is big because Marty talked about strategy, guys, in terms of 2-stop to 3-stop. This lap actually counts, but not at speed. That means you'll be using a lot less fuel at pace car speed here as you get regrouped. So that opens up the strategy for the 2-stoppers a little wider. It's a big deal right there.
Are we sure that it counts?
It's what we hear.
Amazing. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's definitely going to be, all the engineers are salivating on the stand.
Plus, in comparison to last year, there was an extra pace lap too, right?
Yes.
So we delve into some different area.
So maybe we're back to level set to exactly the mileage we saw last year, and there was both strategies, 2 and 3.
Now, because of this short run out of the last corner to the start-finish line, we often only see a few stacked rows on the front straight, but we have seen some pile-ups on the start as guys come out of that last corner accelerating and then have to hit the brakes.
They're going to have to pack up a lot more quickly than this. We're almost at the end of the lap. It looks a lot better already than the initial attempt. Looks a lot better than the initial attempt. Jack Harvey comes in alongside Helio Castroneves. So once again, Rinus VeeKay Pato Award, a 21 and a 22-year-old on the front row, leading the champion to green. and the two-time Scott McLaughlin is in there as well. Let's go. Green flag this time, you
Green.
Racing at Barber Motorsports Park, and VK will go down into turn 1 first.
Scott McLaughlin around the outside of Alex Palou as we see into 3 wide now heading into turn 2.
Good clean up front. Look at Felix Rosenquist in that orange and blue car for Arrow McLaren SP. Up over turn 3 and 4, stretching their legs down to turn 5. Key overtaking move, and that's what Palou's trying to do on McLaughlin.
Alex Palou, always patient, but he's pressing right now in that blue and white car. Looking inside, there is Rosenquist and Alexander Rossi side by side as they come to the museum.
So McLaughlin in that Sonsio Chevrolet, up 1 position already on the champ and the defending race winner. Rossi looking good. Then back to Grosjean. There's Dixon in the PNC Bank Honda, and David Malukas, the rookie, around the outside of Will Power.
You saw Will Power in that black and red Verizon car, and James, he's just trying to figure out how to get by, but with high percentage decisions. You cannot afford around a fast racetrack like this to damage any aerodynamic part on the car.
No, you really cannot. There's no trap. We rely on aerodynamics more than right here at Barber. Those long, fast corners as we ride on board with Will Power in the Verizon car right now.
And lap 1 complete under yellow. Lap 2 complete now under green. That's that precious fuel savings that we talked about riding on board with Will Power there, and he is locked in deep in the field. It's going to be a long day for the 12.
Starting 19th. He holds the record for the starting position, the most far back in the field and winning. That was 9th. He's 19th. He was unsure what happened in qualifying yesterday, just couldn't turn it on, and he's buried in the pack.
Check out that green and white car right there. That's Callum Eilert, the rookie on a small one-car team with Hunkos Hollinger. Those guys are up 3 positions since the start, running in 8th place. A great day for Eilert.
And 3 places up for Eilert, 3 places down for Joseph Newgarden. The number 2 guys took a bit of a swing on tire strategy. They started on the primary black Firestone tire, the black sidewall, where most of the top 10 started on the softer red alternate tire. So Joseph's lost a couple places with that harder, less grip tire. Marty, you got more on the 2.
Well, and that's what they were concerned about at the start of the race, going with those primary tires, hence to start the race for Joseph Newgarden. Right on board with him right now. He told me if I can kind of hang where I started, so he did lose those couple of spots. Now back to 10th, but they really feel like this could give them an advantage. Maybe you run the primaries right now, and if you two-stop the race, you can run red tires, the softer, quicker red tires for the rest of the race. So Newgarden playing strategy from the start at one of his best racetracks.
And one of the important parts about this strategy, guys, is with the rain that we had, this track has lost all the Firestone rubber that they've put down over practice. And when you have a greener racetrack, as we call it, when there's less rubber on the racetrack, the tires wear faster. So all of these cars that started on the red sidewall tire, that degrades quicker anyway. It wears faster as it is. You're going to be using them at the time of the race, but the racetrack's at its worst, as we see some side-by-side action here.
Jack Harvey really putting the pressure on the Gainbridge Honda of Colton Herder. That was almost a move well executed, couldn't quite do it at that time. Herder, we revisit that storyline. Qualifying went awry for him yesterday. Just got caught out by Marcus Ericsson's spin and the red flag. He left his run too late in qualifying and should have been in the Firestone Fast 6, perhaps should have been on the pole position. Now he's digging in 11th.
On board with Herta here, also on the harder Firestone black tire, so level set with Newgarden on tire choice. Everybody in front of these two on the softer red, as you see the Firestone telemetry here, lower left-hand corner, 165 miles an hour as you fire into turn 1, only down to 120. Really fast corner.
This right here, 2-3, one of the longest corners you're ever going to drive in an IndyCar. It's a real neck stretcher, but it's so important, Townsend, because it gives you that run out through the flat-out turn 4, down into the best passing opportunity in turn 5.
There you hear a little coast phase from Colton Herta. What does that mean? Saving a little bit of fuel, giving yourself the opportunity to make this race hopefully on 2 stops if you can save enough gas. Looking at lap times right now, VK up front doing 109.5. Kevin, in practice, they were doing 107.5, so I think all the front runners looking for that 2-stop window.
But I've been told that there are some, maybe not at the very front, but some beyond mid-pack that are going to go ahead and do 3, and if someone chooses that, you can come in really within the next couple of laps or so, and then what happens if a caution comes out, you could potentially cycle up to the front. So I think it's going to be interesting, the 2 very, very different strategies.
So VK has a 1-second lead. Renus VK here in this Sonax Chevrolet over this Arrow McLaren SP Chevrolet of Pato Award. It's 3 Chevrolets in the top 3 positions with Scott McLaughlin. And then you pick up the first Honda in Alex Palou for Chip Ganassi Racing over Rossi and Rosenquist. And then you go to Grosjean and Eilert. Again, Callum Eilert for Hunkos Hollinger Racing. He is beating Rahal Letterman Lanigan, Team Penske, Andretti Autosport. This is an incredible run for the smallest team in the field.
Holding his own for sure as we look at the strategy prediction for the race, powered by NTT. Strategy 1, that's the 3-stop. That's got a 50% chance of winning here. Strategy 2, then 2-stop. Now, in order to make strategy 1 work, you've got to click off fast lap times. In order to do the lap time, you can't have anybody holding you up. That's the challenge, is if you pit early and you're out on what you think is a clean track and you catch a slower car like Calderon or Johnson at the back of the field, it completely negates the benefit.
You have to get by those lap cars, I guess not lap cars, you have to get by those 2-stop cars as quickly as possible. And as we discussed, this is a very tough racetrack to get those passes done. It's not impossible, and especially if you're on an alternate tire from the cars around you, you can make it work.
I know it said 50-50. If I'm gaming, I'm going the 2-stop strategy, simply because on lap time the engineers tell me it's about equal, but you have to factor in passing cars, and I think it's really hard to do that here, Marty.
I think when you do the math, Townsend, I think a lot of the teams said 2 stops worked anyway without that extra lap of caution, right? So now that you throw in that extra lap of caution, I think you were right on it when you said it at the start, Townsend. That was way more significant to all these strategists than anyone had planned. I hear fuel numbers being talked about. To me, that means this has turned into a 2-stop race.
Ed Carpenter Racing's Renus VK leads the way by more than a second, started from the pole and controls this Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. This is race 4 for People Ready Force for Good Challenge. And as Marty told you at the top of the show, if Joseph Newgarden wins today, he'll take home $1 million in the grand prize to be shared across 2 incredible charities. People Ready is proud to advance its mission to be a force for good in communities across the nation and honored to be the official staffing provider of the NTT IndyCar Series for the 2022 season. For more information on the People Ready Force for Good Challenge, visit peopleready.com. And of course, that is for winning at 3 different types of track. Joseph has already done that on the streets of Long Beach at the last race, and then earlier in that dramatic finish at Texas Motor Speedway. His 2 charities, by the way, the Serious Fun Children's Network and the Wags and Walks of Nashville. 2 charities very close to Newgarden's heart. As we ride aboard the PPG Chevrolet, the first guy in the order on the primary harder compound tires. You're going to hear the guys talk about that a lot today as this race unfolds over the 90 laps. First to dive for the pits is Marcus Ericsson. This is what we were waiting for, to see how this shakes out, Kevin Lee.
And this was the plan that Marcus told me they were leaning towards, and he reminded me that in 2019, I started in the back, came in on lap 7, and we finished 7. So he's good with that similar strategy again, coming in here on lap number 11. He goes from the alternates to primary Firestones. Marcus Ericsson is back out. He's been fast. Qualifying didn't go well. Let's see what he can do with some clean air now.
It's a great stop from the Chip Ganassi Racing crew. And I kind of like this. I remember that race for Marcus. He did an incredible job getting those passes done on track, Townsend. Now he's going to have a ton of clean track. He's got a fresh set of Firestones, and he can just go for broke.
He does have the number 11 car, though, of Tatiana Calderon, who is about 12 seconds back of Jimmy Johnson at the tail end of the field. So it's going to be probably 5 or 6 laps before he catches the 11. She's on the lead lap. She's going to be fighting hard to stay in front of Ericsson. That's the only thing that can really throw off this clean track strategy early on.
And Joseph Newgarden looks like it. I did not expect that at all. When we saw him start on the harder sidewall tires, I did not see that for Joseph Newgarden in the 2 car.
Jack Harvey's in too.
It's opened up, and is that Will Power in the Verizon Chevy at the back? Let's go down to pit road. Here's Marty Snyder.
Yeah, that is Will Power coming down pit road as well. Also, you see Joseph Newgarden hitting pit road here. Yeah, a little bit of a surprise. Talked to Tim Sidler just a second ago, and he said he thought it was leaning towards a 2-stop. But I think what they were thinking, Hinch, is they were so far back sitting there in 10th, they weren't going to make the progress that they thought they could on those primary tires, so they decided to come in. They're going to make it a 3-stop race for Joseph Newgarden, but stand corrected, that was not Will Power coming down pit road, that was Jack Harvey. So Team Penske in essence splitting the strategy here with Newgarden going with a 3-stopper.
And that's something they're so good at, Townsend, splitting strategies across their cars. They've done it many times to great success, just covering the bases.
Yep, it's Jack Harvey, by the way, and Elio Castro Neves. Harvey came out in front of Marcus Ericsson, Newgarden in front of Harvey. So Newgarden the furthest up the road on the three-stop strategy, and Colton Herta coming in.
Responding, because remember, he was the same as Joseph Newgarden, starting on the primary Firestone Firehawk tires. Here is the Gainbridge Honda. There is some fire in this young man's belly as well after yesterday with that qualifying that left him frustrated and fuming. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah, they had such a quick car, Diff, to your point. He really felt like they had the car to beat this weekend for the pole and the race as well. And when I talked to Colton before the race, he said, I like us trying to think about the two-stop strategy. They've obviously bailed on that, going with these softer alternate tires here. The interesting piece is those who are now going to do the two-stoppers, for the majority of them, they are on the alternate tire. Can those hang on for a full 30-lap run? That's what we're going to have to watch.
Pretty cool to see the blend battle there. You saw Joseph Newgarden ahead of Colton Herta.
A great stop from the Gainbridge crew. That was a 6-second stop in the box, so those guys really stepped their game up, Kevin Lee.
Kyle Kirkwood came in right after Herta did, and he's just now leaving his pit stall. I'm going to say that took them an extra 15 or 20 seconds. I couldn't tell from my vantage point, but one of the right side tires, they could not get attached. Very costly time on pit lane for the AJ Foyt team.
And Kyle Kirkwood is going to emerge a lap down now. That's Alexander Rossi currently running in 5th place that he's going to slot in behind there. Felix Rosenquist goes by. So disaster for Kyle Kirkwood and the AJ Foyt guys.
That makes it a long day inside that Rocket Chevrolet for AJ Foyt Racing. Marty?
Romain Grosjean hitting pit road. He was saying the tires are already getting bad. They said, do you think it can hang on? We want to do a two-stop strategy. He said, I don't know if it can. So to that point, this has always been an abrasive racetrack here, Townsend, as we watch the blend there at Barber Motorsports.
Here goes Newgarden.
Talking about tires hanging on.
Side by side. This is where Newgarden came to grief last year. He's hugged that inside line, clears Grosjean, and puts a car between himself and Colton Herta.
Pretty straightforward pass when you're on hot, softer red tires, and Grosjean's on the colder black straight out of the pits. And I think the issue, you mentioned this earlier, James, green racetrack with the rain. So more abrasive until rubber gets laid down. It's going to wear the tires more aggressively earlier on in this race. And I think Grosjean just found that out the hard way.
And I can tell you from the driver's standpoint, all these guys that have bailed on the two-stop and they've gone to the three-stop, they are so happy from the driver's seat, driving around, saving tires, saving fuel to a number. It is sometimes so dull. Now they know they're going to have the fuel, they're going to have the tires, time to go.
It feels great, James. You're going fast on that three-stop strategy until you catch lap traffic for Joseph Newgarden. He's about to enter turn one. Look at this. Here comes Tatiana Calderon. This is what I was talking about. Look at this. Colton Herta on Grosjean.
Teammate on teammate into turn one.
Oh!
Herta runs off and loses that battle.
Very lucky to avoid any contact or gravel. Herta will have to clean up his tires and refire off.
But Townsend, this is to your point. That's the kind of move Colton Herta has to make in this situation. He has got to be aggressive and make those passes.
Hinch, you remember we spent time with him yesterday and we asked him, do you like the extra stop so you can race hard, or do you like saving fuel? He said, I don't mind either because they have their strengths and weaknesses. Now he's coming back at Grosjean again. He's recovered from that off-track excursion and he's caught his teammate very swiftly.
Herta knows that this is the advantage for the red tire now. This is the time to make the move. Here comes the run again on push to pass. Up top, you see Newgarden just got by Calderon, so that's important for his three-stop strategy.
Oh, that is a big move right there.
That is one of the fastest corners in IndyCar on the circuit for Colton Herta to pull off the outside move on his teammate Romain Grosjean. That was commitment.
That is Charlie Kimball on willpower. That was huge. That was a big move. And Herta clears him. Now in the background is Jack Harvey and Marcus Ericsson lining up for a shot at Grosjean.
Guys, these drivers are all going 10/10ths right now, which I get it. There's a three-stop strategy, but they all pitted so early in those windows. At some point, you're going to have a long stint and make these things last.
Well, you're also going to want to take care of the tires, as you say, if it's red or blacks. The thing with Herta, he knows if he sits in dirty air behind Grosjean, he's going to use his tire even more quickly because he loses the downforce. So Herta made it work there. He lost some time overshooting turn one, but now you see the gap opening up. Herta on his way to making the three-stop work.
Jack Harvey looming large in that black and red Hy-Vee Honda in the mirrors of Romain Grosjean. They're on different tires, Harvey is on the softer compound ones. As we review and relive that move from Colton Herta. He'll duck to the inside and then run long at turn 1.
Very Formula 1-esque from Grosjean, making it really hard for the trailing car. Luckily for Colton Herta, he sends it in a place that does allow a little bit of runoff, and you go through the grass and you grab asphalt on the other side. Probably lost 2 to 3 seconds with that attempted fail, but luckily gathered it up, didn't wreck.
That was the rim shot drummer hands that saved that car. That was some quick hands from Colton Herta. Now has to clear.
Colton Herta's band, the Zibs, paying off, Dick.
He promised us that he's going to deliver some music that we can use for the Indianapolis 500. So that's his next project after he's finished this Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama.
I've been watching the lap times of Joseph Newgarden, the lead car on the 3-stop strategy. His last lap was a 109.1. The leader, VK, doing a 109.7. I'm going to assume VK is on the 2-stop. That's not going to do it for Newgarden. Newgarden's going to have to pick up the pace to make that 3-stop work.
Jack Harvey is looking for a good run in that Rahal Letterman Lanigan Honda, and today it's happening. It could be his best result of the year. A quick reminder that all season long, if you grab your mobile device and scan the QR code on the screen for a chance to win $25,000, thanks to our friends at Hy-Vee. Scan the code, register at highvdeals.com for your chance to take home the big prize. Get into it, and good luck. Welcome back to Barber Motorsports Park. Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, James Hinchcliffe here. We've got Dylan Welsh and Kevin Lee and Marty Snyder enjoying a sunny day of IndyCar racing here in Birmingham, Alabama. And that was Jack Harvey passing AJ Foyt Racing's Tatiana Calderone. The red and white car is Marcus Ericsson lining up next. Way up front, though, is Renus VK for Ed Carpenter Racing, and the Sonax Chevrolet boasts more than a 2-second lead and looking good ahead of Pato Award, Scott McLaughlin, and the defending race winner, Alex Palou.
Yeah, Renus is driving a really controlled race right now. He's not panicked from everybody diving onto the 3-stop, even some cars pretty close to him in the top 10 there, and he's just sort of controlling the pace.
In the battle we were watching there is the 3-stoppers trying to get around the slower car of Tatiana Calderone, who's on the lead lap, but not quite on pace. So it's a struggle there for Marcus Ericsson and Elio Castro Neves, and they need to get by to make that 3-stop work. You've got to produce the lap time to make it work, and they're really struggling, sliding around in dirty air back there.
And I've just been watching the lap times, and for the last 3 laps, the 2 quickest drivers on track have been Joseph Newgarden and Colton Herta. They both have some clean air, and they are just chewing up these guys. Lots of lap time, over a second quicker than the leader, so this is going to cycle through to gain them a lot of time as Marcus Ericsson gets around Tatiana Calderone. Dylan Welsh, what do you have down there?
Well, we're keeping our eye, James, on Callum Ilott, and their strong weekend continues. Picked up 3 spots on the initial start. They ride in 7th right now. And talking with Callum yesterday after that warm-up session that they ended on top of the board, his biggest concern was just making the reds last. He said usually in every race this year, as soon as they bolt the reds on, then the car just hasn't been there for them. The balance has gone away. So good news is once they've gotten this track position, they've maintained. The temps look good. Everything is up to par and up to snuff for the 77 car. They ride 7th right now. Expect them in about 8 laps on that 2-stop strategy, Kevin.
Dylan, remember last year when Pato Award started on the pole, but he could not make the Firestones last. They had to go to a 3-stop strategy. We remember the radio communications of Pato in anguish. We also remember last year the opportunity to see him sliding around the track. Well, what a difference a year makes. The team has done some things to find some better opportunities as we watch the aero onboard of Pato Award, and he's gotten more experience of managing the tires. No concerns. He's very much on pace for a 2-stopper. Marty.
So, Kevin, the problem with doing a 3-stop strategy and other cars and teams doing a 2-stop strategy, as Townsend mentioned a moment ago, you're going to catch the back of the field. So Joseph Newgarden had a little trouble getting around Calderone, but a second and a half up the road. Jimmy Johnson, who he's going to have to get past in a moment, he was told, listen, we put you on the offensive, be aggressive. So expect Joseph Newgarden and this entire pack to try and bull their way through the field. Hinch, you made the point earlier, drivers love it, right? You want to be on the offensive when you're behind the wheel, not trying to save fuel.
That's why we go racing, Marty. We're here to push, push, push.
And if you weren't with us last week for the 2-day open test at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the lead up to the 106th run of the Indy 500, we spoke about this family matter for the Newgardens, and that is, this is Joseph's first race weekend as a father. and we congratulate both Joseph and his wife Ashley, the birth of their little son Kota. So kind of driving with a different purpose, driving with a slightly different mindset, but the same objective, to win.
Especially when there's $1 million on the line. We heard about Newgarden's 2 charities. That's the 3rd charity. This guy needs diaper money, so that $1 million is a game changer with a young family as Newgarden continues to press. And let's not forget the rivalry that is Team Penske and Chip Ganassi Racing. Jimmy Johnson with Chip Ganassi, I wonder what they might be telling him on the radio in terms of trying to defend and not let Newgarden by on that faster strategy.
And there's also the inter-team rivalry with his teammate Scott McLaughlin. Right now is running 3rd, only 5 points behind him in the championship after 3 rounds. They're the only 2 drivers that have won a race so far this year, so these guys are pushing each other very hard. Joseph responding big time in the last 2 weekends after Scott won the opening race in St. Pete.
Getting vaguely close to seeing the front runners come in, and before they do, let's show you the GMR, the Global Medical Response Track Facts. This is the 12th running of an IndyCar race here at the beautiful Barber Motorsports Park. Joseph Newgarden is the most successful as far as being a 3-time winner here, and there's a few other interesting numbers and facts and figures there for you as we continue to watch this battle with Jimmy Johnson driving with that titanium screw in his right hand after he broke that metacarpal on the streets of Long Beach with multiple accidents there. It was a gutsy performance. He found it somewhat easier to drive at Indy post-surgery. He's been back in the gym. He was still pretty ginger when I went to shake his hand the other day. He's like, if you go soft, all right, because he's squeezing it down with that screw in there, but he's able to drive the car, not too bad.
Nice and smooth there. A little correction. There's the Newgarden shuffle here at Barber. He always surprises with that move. Slick. Once again, he's done that so many times here to catch somebody out, and that's what Newgarden needed to get back in clean air. He's got nobody in front of him for a while. He can start to get back to fast lap times.
I was just going to say he had lost a few seconds behind Jimmy Johnson's lap times, almost a second slower than the previous lap. So quick work of the number 48. I think he used that move to get the lead, his very first win back here in 2015, and he has used it to great effectiveness many times since.
And strangely enough, not too many others have copied.
It is amazing, and I love the fact that he pulled it on Jimmy Johnson, who's probably not aware of that Newgarden move and is still figuring out this IndyCar series. So now Newgarden is down and away. Newgarden sits about 26 seconds back of Rinus VeeKay, who's on the 2-stop strategy. So I would expect Newgarden to get to the lead when VeeKay stops, but they'll still be on 2 strategies. Newgarden will have to stop 2 more times, VeeKay just once. There's VeeKay.
No, VeeKay's still got 2 to go because he hasn't pit yet. So essentially they're both
stops,
on, right, sorry, yeah. So they're essentially both on 2 more stops, but VeeKay's got to take care of his tires and fuel, where Joseph can be a little bit more aggressive. And now that Colton Herta's caught up to the back of Jimmy Johnson, we got to keep track of how quickly he gets by.
Marty?
You guys mentioned it, and you're talking about those 2 stoppers. VeeKay up front, Alex Palou sitting back there in 4th. So about 5 to 6 laps before these guys come to pit road. And talk about hanging on, these tires wearing out, those Firestones. They want brand new ones for these guys up front, doing 2 stops. So Alex Palou, all the guys up front coming in about 5 laps or so. Beautiful day here at Barber Motorsports Park, working lap 26 of 90.
Pitting from inside the top 10, Arrow McLaren SP's Felix Rosenquist. Kevin's there.
And I know they were trying to get another lap or 2, so either the Firestones were giving up or they just couldn't quite make the fuel number, so they're going to have to do a little extra save in the next stint for Felix Rosenquist to be able to get it done in 1 more stop.
The Swedish driver is still in search of his first top 10 result of the year. He's had the speed. There's just been some misfortune. This guy is fast. He's an IndyCar race winner, and he's looking to ignite his season right here today. It was the team's best combined qualifying with himself and his teammate Pato O'Ward. That thrilled the whole organization. Now they're looking for that double race result as well.
Yeah, for 3 rounds in a row, Felix has had impressive qualifying performances. Obviously on pole at Texas Motor Speedway before a problem in pit lane there when he overshot his box. Then I think he was 4th at Long Beach, and again in the Fast 6. Running here with the Mission Foods on board with the number 7 car, and he just hasn't been able to seal that result the way that he wants to. And more action down on pit lane, Kevin.
We're starting to see the leaders come in. Alexander Rossi's rolling by, and that's Pato O'Ward making his first stop of the day. Made the Firestones last. He's going to primaries. This time back out, Marty.
Yeah, but Kevin, to the point you made a moment ago, as Alexander Rossi hits his pit stall here, we're working lap 30. I think they would love to have gone one lap further if they can. So at some point, they're going to have to make up this time. Took a long time on the left rear tire for Rossi there. It's a little bit longer stop than the 27 would like, which will cost them some track position.
There goes Romain Grosjean in the blue and white car on that three-stop strategy. Jack Harvey gets by. Here's Alexander Rossi.
Now it's going to get interesting as it gets jumbled up. You got guys on different strategies fighting over the same track space.
Callum Eilert there, also pitted on lap 30.
Ericsson looks at the inside in that white and red Husky chocolate Honda on his countryman, Felix Rosenquist. Then it's Eilert in the green and black and white car, and then Alexander Rossi. Or is Rossi ahead? Pardon me, I think Rossi's ahead of them. So, more action on pit road.
The leader is in, up to a 5-second advantage on Scott McLaughlin, who moved up to second. Renus Piquet takes the primaries. Scott McLaughlin going right around him as well. Interesting nugget from McLaughlin. They told him the pit in is a little bit slower with a green track, Marty.
Will Power's going to pit here and go to alternate sticker tires, but Alex Palou, Barry Wanzer taking his playbook from last year that won them the race, going one lap longer than the other guys playing the two-stop strategy. He leaves pit road. He's been very happy with the handling of the car and terrific on the fuel number.
I think that's Scott McLaughlin beating Palou on pit out right there. McLaughlin just pitted. He was very fast in practice on used tires. Look at this battle. Newgarden.
Herder, as they go by, Tatiana Calderon. So Tatiana has clearly pitted, and these two resume their fight.
He's really closed that gap. He had a few-second buffer. Joseph Newgarden did over Colton Herta, and now he's right on his gearbox, and this is essentially the race for the lead of the three-stop strategy players.
And this is all clean air in front of Newgarden. It's a half a lap to the next car. As you hear on the radio, push hard right here. This is where you've got to make lap time to make this strategy work. Remember, all the two-stoppers that just pitted, they only have one more stop. Newgarden has 2 more stops.
Check this out, guys. We're riding on board the Gainbridge Honda with Colton Herta. He had an incident a few moments ago with Jimmy Johnson. Up into turn 16, looking for the inside run, doing the Joseph Newgarden, little side-to-side contact.
Either Jimmy didn't know he was there, or Jimmy was once bitten, twice shy on the Newgarden move. I don't think he knew he was there. You can see Jimmy, he's looking straight ahead. I don't think he saw him in his mirror.
Yeah, it's potentially true. We were talking about how not enough drivers have adopted that move from Joseph Newgarden. Well, Colton saw it work, and he tried to do the same thing, and now debris coming off the 48 there.
Might have been tire rubber or a little piece of bodywork. These Indy cars are very robust shoulder to shoulder. You can get away with a lot of pushing and shoving when it's purely side to side. Marty?
We're going to see this all day long, this battle with the two-stoppers staying out a little bit longer and the three-stoppers up front when they do that. So, in other words, Joseph Newgarden up front right now, he'll have to pit in about 9 laps or so, and then you'll see...
Look out, Marty! Marty, look out! Callum Eilert arguing over the same bit of track space in the museum section, and this unbelievable run has come to an end. The 23-year-old Brit was running solidly in the top 10, and just hit the museum complex a little too hot, went off track, and did what Will Power and Marcus Ericsson did yesterday, ended up in that gravel trap.
And a heartbreak for the three-stoppers right here.
This pretty much ends it. This is going to allow the two-stoppers to cycle to the front. Guys like Herta's going to have to come into the pits, but here's a replay. This is into turn 5. Elio going by Callum, or trying to go by Callum, but him holding it on the outside there.
So Eilert looking good here, has a nice run on the outside of 5. Eilert with the advantage now, has perfect track position. It just fired in it in too deep.
Got loose, just had to chase it across that curve. We saw that happen so many times in practice and qualifying in this same spot, guys. Real trouble spot so far this weekend.
Wonder if the marbles have built up enough to where Eilert kind of offline as you approach there, just got dirt on the tires. But I feel like Castro Neves, the 20-year veteran, just kind of pulled the move.
Yeah,
you break really deep, you suck the rookie into
Yeah.
trying to go deeper when Eilert really didn't need to. I mean, he could have just held Porter right there, and he had the position for the apex down the hill.
So you guys know how this works, especially for a small team and a new driver to the series. While it has ended in a negative, the positive is he's put everybody on notice. I'm here, I'm a good young driver, I'm ready to mix it up. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but it has been a memorable weekend for Juncos Hollinger Racing. NBC's coverage of IndyCar is brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need. And by Hy-Vee. Throughout the race season, HyVeeDeals.com provides a chance to win $25,000. HyVeeDeals.com, proud sponsor of the number 45 car. Back here at Barber, and the whole race has been thrown wide open with the first caution period at this renowned racing venue. So how does that work strategy-wise for the different competitors, Marty Snyder? Tell us more.
It was not, as Hinch said, what the three stoppers wanted, among them Tim Cindric and Joseph Newgarden. So that's a curveball that you didn't really expect, did you, Tim? So why pit there just to put your driver on the offense here, get new tires on him, and let him come up through the field?
Well, at that point, we were going to have to pit in about 5 laps anyway. So, yeah, for sure, the strategy was working out pretty well. But, yeah, the best strategy is a fast car, and I think we had that. We were clear in traffic. You know, we were going to pit probably 4 or 5 more laps, but we were going to cycle out really well in terms of traffic and all the rest of it. But that's racing. Yeah,
so now the good part is you put your driver on offensive, which I think you just told him, said, hey, go on offense here.
Yeah, we've been offense since about the 10th lap, but I got to go.
All right, Tim Cindric going to talk to Joseph Newgarden here. Yeah, so Hinch, you made the point. I mean, the three stoppers at that point, they were going to have to pit, as Tim said, in 4 or 5 laps anyway. So why not put new tires on? And now it'll be fun to watch those guys come up through the field. I believe Joseph Newgarden will restart 17th here with one of the quicker cars in the field, along with Colton Herta.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot of work for these guys. They got their work cut out for them. Going to make their money today trying to get up to the back of the field here.
Tell you a guy who's been coming through from the back of the field and running pretty well is Meyer Shank Racing, Simon Pagenaud. He started way back in 24th and runs 13th at the moment. Ready for a restart though here. Working lap 35. Seeing the green as Renus VK, as he did right at the beginning of this Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. Pato Award, Scott McLaughlin, the champ, Alex Palou, and then Alexander Rossi. Power on the move in that Verizon 5G Chevy.
And Newgarden making quick work there in the PPG car of Jimmy Johnson, trying to carve through the field beyond the offensive like we just heard. Colton Herta in the same situation, that yellow and black car on David Malukas. He wants to make it happen now.
Primaries versus alternate tires for those two. They both fall lockstep, but it looks like Colton Herta's gone ahead of Joseph Newgarden on track there, so a good move on the restart. He has the 26.
He has. He's right behind David Malukas, the rookie. There's Dixon. Through goes Ray Hall. Power. Then Takuma Sato. And then you pick up Colton Herta ahead of Joseph Newgarden and Romain Grosjean.
It looked like Herta was going to have a send on Malukas. He backed out of it, and I wonder if the marbles have something to do with that. The track's pretty dirty offline, as we saw in the tight shot on the front straightaway. They're all stacked up behind Malukas, Herta, Newgarden, and Grosjean.
And guys, it's tough to underestimate and really, look at Holt. He's Herta trying to
There it is.
He's trying to make the Joseph Newgarden move while defending from Joseph Newgarden. Contact with David Malukas there. Does that open the door for Joseph into turn 1?
Able to dispose of the rookie very effectively.
Look at the rubber flying off the race cars. Huge chunks of rubber coming off the tires.
Sato and Pagenaud were going at it, and it looked like Pagenaud got by the 2-time Indy 500 winner. On board with Grosjean. Let's go for a ride.
Oh, Newgarden up ahead with a great run on Malukas.
Power and Ray Hall, they're at it, exiting turn 5. Power's got ahead for the time being and trying to defend down into the museum complex.
That's how we saw Callum Eilert go off, but Will Power seems to take it easy enough through there, keep it in control. He's moved up another spot.
Well, let's think big picture-wise of what Will Power told us this week. His approach this year has been really work hard on my mental game. Don't sweat the small stuff. As Devlin DiFrancesco has a moment in front of his teammate. Colton Herta on the rookie, sweeps around the outside. Another position to Herta.
Another move on the outside of turn 12 as well, Lee. That was a very committed move, as we've been seeing from Colton Herta all day. He is absolutely on a charge. He's got the bit between his teeth, and he is trying to make up for that yellow that really sacrificed their strategy.
T-Bell, he's on a mission.
He is on a mission. And it gets a lot harder from here as you get further towards the front. But he is on fresh tires and can burn a little bit more fuel.
Joseph Newgarden there in dirty air behind Dalton Kellett, got a bit discombobulated going through turn one, nearly allowed the car behind him, Romain Grosjean, to make a move.
Okay, at the beginning of the race, we said keep an eye out. Here's Dalton Kellett and Devlin DiFrancesco with Newgarden in the background. There's Malukas side by side with Ericsson. So at the top of the show, we told you about keep an eye out for the big name guys coming through the field. Scott Dixon started 12th. He's now running 7th. Will Power started, where did he start? Way back in 19th. Power runs in 8th at the moment. Ray Hall, 12th, I think, or thereabouts. He's 9th. So Pagano, 24th to 10th. The theme continues. The trend continues.
Big coast phase there as we ride on board with Will Power. This is the Firestone telemetry again, lower left. Watch the throttle position as he goes to turn 1. Fuel adjustment. Big coast phase light, brake right there. Lot of off throttle time, even when you're driving as hard as you can here, James. And right now, trying to save a little bit of gas. You'll see a coast phase here at the end of the straight.
Yeah, just listen here for this coast. And there's the brakes. There's a solid second of coast there. We saw him make an adjustment on his steering wheel there. You can see all the switches and dials on the steering wheel. The drivers are having to navigate those while paying attention to what the car is doing and what traffic is doing around them. Marty Snyder.
And I think that even kill mentality hinge that Lee mentioned a moment ago for Will Power even came into play this weekend. You mentioned it. He started 19th today, but is now, thanks to the two-stop strategy and a pretty good race car, up to 8th. So I think he sniffs the front now. Will Power confident in the race car, and I think that's really going to be a factor here late in this race. If he can come out of here with a top 5, it'd be a great day for Will Power starting 19th.
Sure would. He'd still be in the top 5 in the championship. He'd be in 4th. He just said, guys, I just don't want to get myself so wound up. I want to think big picture, championship length, the whole season. Don't sweat the small stuff. Really be more measured. And I think we're witnessing it. It's really happening.
He seems to be very big picture in his thinking. Question is, how big picture is Colton Herta going to be back there in that yellow and black car? He's with the lead pack, James. He has more fuel and fresher tires, but he's trying to make up that precious ground loss when the yellow came out. So far, he's the only car that looks to have the pace to be able to press through this field.
Yeah, since the restart, he's made up 3 positions, but you talk about patience as Will Power gets another one. You talk about patience, he's 11th in the championship, 1 race forward. He can't really afford to be patient at this point. He's got to take chances, he's got to go for it. But Will Power, he certainly knows how to get through the field here. He's the guy that won from furthest back. 9th is the furthest anyone's won this race from. It was Will Power.
Hinch, watch this. Helio Castro Neves, Jimmy Johnson. This is under review. What went down?
Oh,
or what went around?
Castro Neves banged it off the curb there, had the whole front axle in the air, locked up, got straight into the back of Jimmy Johnson. I'd fully expect a drive-through penalty for Helio Castro Neves there.
Yeah, he continued. Jimmy Johnson went around, and we've just been getting word from race control that there is a penalty coming to the 0-6.
Drive-through for Helio Castro Neves, the 4-time and defending Indy 500
Contact,
winner.
we gotta get behind the 48.
Hey guys, Helio has been really struggling with the car. Right before that, he said it's undrivable.
Let's amend that. It's a just give up the position. So he's got to drop behind the 48. Wheel to wheel, Joseph Newgarden right there with Dalton Kellett in the K-Line Insulators Chevrolet as Newgarden continues to be pressured by Romain Grosjean.
Where are they on tires? Newgarden on the red, Grosjean on the black. Grosjean on the red as well. Maybe Newgarden's starting to struggle a little bit to hang on to his race car. Looking at track temp, 115 degrees and rising. Hard to believe it's sunny and hot. We started off this day overcast, pretty heavy rain.
It is crazy to see how the weather's changed and how this track is changing. But guys, what hasn't changed is the front. Rinus VeeKay, a comfortable 2.2 second lead over Pottsville Ward right now. He is just controlling this race.
Newgarden's at 78 on push to pass.
Just a push to pass update there for Grosjean. But guys, Rinus VeeKay, this gap that he's got right now, absolutely incredible. He's super comfortable in his race car. He's driving like a veteran. You know, I think him and his engineer, Matt Barnes, have really just clicked. They've gelled this year. They're finding a great setup, and he is driving like a driver with way more experience than he really does right now. He's just controlling this race.
So Rinus VK for Ed Carpenter Racing, and the Sonax Chevrolet leads by 2.5 seconds. Here he is, the 21-year-old Dutch driver who now lives in Florida, loving life in the sun. It feels just like his new home right here in Alabama. Leads Pato O'Ward and then Scott McLaughlin. It remains a Chevy trio at the front. Alexander Rossi, who desperately needs a good weekend, had a huge crash. There's Alexander right there in the Napa Auto Nation Honda for Andretti Autosport. He crashed right here as he went backwards into that guardrail off to the right-hand side where you can see the repair. The Andretti Autosport team across all cars did an amazing job. There was as many as 14 team personnel working on this car to get him out for qualifying. He qualified well, and this is what happened to Alexander yesterday. Just to remind you and tell you what a tremendous, a colossal comeback it was. Hinch, this was, as you say, suboptimal.
Suboptimal indeed. I talked to Alex. He was on a new set of tires. Said he just pushed a little bit too early. They weren't fully in yet, but the result, catastrophic. As you can see, Helio Castroneves caught some of the damage there, and while the entire Andretti Autosport crew rallied together to get the 27 Auto Nation Napa car back on track in time for qualifying, it was just the 27 crew itself that got him ahead of Alex Palou that last round of stops. He's actually moved up a spot. So great effort from the driver, great effort from the team, and great effort from the pit crew so far today, Marty.
Not only a rough weekend at Barber for Alexander Rossi, it's been a rough 2022. So I asked him earlier today, I said, are you worried about that? Do you feel like you just have to get a good result today and that's it? He said, man, are you crazy? We want to win. Everybody else has to worry about a championship. I don't. I'm after wins for the rest of the season, and that's it.
As we welcome you back, we ride aboard the American Legion Honda of Alex Palou. As an official charity of IndyCar and Chip Ganassi Racing, American Legion is encouraging fans to support our veterans now more than ever. Text HONOR VETS to 41444 or visit legion.org to show your support. So we've just clicked over the halfway mark. Marty Snyder and Alex Palou, the defending race winner and champ, running in the top 5.
Yeah, since we're riding on board with Alex Palou a moment ago, Hinch mentioned all the buttons and knobs on the steering wheel. So I want to show you Alex Palou's backup steering wheel. And there is a lot going on here, certainly. And this is what they have to deal with every day. So Hinch and Townsend, you can talk about this as well. I'll walk you through the basics of the buttons. The neutral button, the reset for the fuel number once he makes a pit stop. His drink, which will feed it directly into his mouth. Reverse. Pit speed is right here. These are all fuel maps, so they may say orange 2, he goes to that number, or blue 4, he'll go to that number, and they are not all used every weekend, so they'll use different ones on different weeks. Then you have to flip it over. This is push to talk back here, and this is overtake back here, and then the clutch and the up and down on the gears as well. So pretty complicated looking steering wheel, Hinch, but I know you guys use most everything on here. And then when it lights up, there's tons of information on this screen for you guys to read.
Yeah, it's basically the brain center of the car. It's a very important part of the electronics and a huge tool for the drivers. And right now, these two drivers, Felix Rosenquist and Colton Herta, they're not looking at their steering wheel, guys. They are just grabbing on for
Here we go, inside,
as he goes for it.
It's the New Garden move by Herta for now a third time. This time on Felix Rosenquist. So clicks up another position, put Colton Herta down now for 9th place.
Super impressive drive from Colton Herta. The 3-stopper fell foul of the yellow flag that came out. They were disadvantaged. Herta's really the only one who's been able to do this, especially mid-stint on the tires. He is passing cars 4 positions straight up because everybody will have to make one more
right
stop.
now.
There you hear Brian Herta, father, coming on the radio. Half tanks, about 12 laps perhaps until they make that final stop. They might push Colton Herta a little longer. Look at this replay.
This is Joseph Newgarden. We're on the PPG Chevy and Romain Grosjean. Maybe a slight contact there exiting turn 5. This is coming down towards the museum complex. Grosjean's going to be on the outside here for this. They're wheel to wheel, and Grosjean does what he did yesterday.
That's what Callum Ilott should have done earlier to Helio Castroneves. Newgarden with the position on the inside. Grosjean goes for a ride, but like the pro that he is, gathers it up, barely lost, dare I say, a couple tenths of a second.
And he did that yesterday in practice as well, so he's got a little bit of experience. He went around yesterday, managed to keep it straight. Here's another replay on the button. You see the green lights on the side of the dashboard. That's the overtake. He's on the push to pass. I guarantee you Joseph is too. He tries to hold on the outside, but Townsend, that's a one-lane bit of racetrack.
Yeah, look at all the green sod that has been removed through the weekend there as Grosjean fires it through the dirt.
So guys, I want to draw this comparison. Joseph Newgarden and Colton Herta, they were the first two to go on that three-stop strategy. Herta was behind Newgarden. He had to get by him, as you see this scrap here between Simon Pagenaud and Felix Rosenquist. That was for 10th. Since Herta got past Newgarden, and Newgarden's been wrestling with Grosjean, Herta has put 4 seconds on Newgarden in this storming drive up to 9th place at the moment, with the next one on his list being Graham Rahal.
4 seconds, but more importantly, 5 positions on track. That's what really impresses me, is the racecraft, the ability for Colton Herta to figure out where nobody else has been able to, how to get by. Look at Herta, 9.5 seconds back of the leader. He has more fuel and fresher tires. Colton Herta will likely overcut. What that means is the next 8 cars in front of him are two-stoppers, except for, all two-stoppers. Everybody's going to pit before Colton Herta. He'll get clean air, push like crazy for a few laps, and then make his last stop.
The hope is that those push laps are going to be faster than the first few out laps and speed laps from the guys that are pitting before him, and he can leapfrog some drivers, but he almost doesn't need to do it in the pit cycle. He's doing this on track, and we saw him do this at Long Beach last year, passing guys at a track where it's traditionally very difficult.
And Hinch, if it goes the way of the Gainbridge Honda and Andretti Autosport driver, and he's able to get up with the front guys, right? Because at the moment he's 9.5 seconds behind race leader Rinus VeeKay. He's been doing more passing than anybody. The other guys have been running in order. So if this guy's got to execute a pass, he's not afraid to.
What Colton Herta needs...
You gotta let me know what guys are gonna start pitching so I can close up.
That's exactly what Colton Herta said. You gotta let me know when guys are pitting so I can close it up. Well, here's what Colton Herta needs. He needs Scott McLaughlin to pick up the pace, because right now that's a 2.5 second delta that Colton really needs McLaughlin to close on to make this work. We'll be watching that gap. If McLaughlin can pick it up, the rest of the field behind him can move forward with Colton Herta.
And I can't help but think, as this race is playing out, still 39 laps to go, a lot of time for Colton Herta to keep making moves on the racetrack and through the pit cycle, but at the end of the day, are you looking at this as a missed opportunity? That judgment call in qualifying to hold him a little bit longer, try to wait, didn't get his lap in because of the red flag for Marcus Ericsson. He could have been starting way further up, and with the pace that he's seeing, this may have been a boring race with the 26 out front, and qualifying got a bit different.
So, Firestone biggest movers since the restart. We've had just 3 laps under caution. So it was the first lap of the race that got waved off. Look at Grosjean and Newgarden, they're at it again. So the biggest movers, and at the top of the list is Colton Herta. There it is. Since the restart, up 7 positions. Newgarden, Grosjean, Ericsson up 4. Power continues his incredible run from 19th to 7th.
Watching that gap with McLaughlin, no award, now down to 3.6 as McLaughlin starts to pick up the pace about 8 laps before the last stop. Guys, we talk about drivers all day long. Let's not forget team sport. So much can go right, so much can go wrong on pit lane. If you're one of the over-the-wall gang, sweaty palms here, you know if you're Rinus VeeKay's tire changers or fueler, you've got to be precise. Don't have to push crazy hard, but VeeKay with a nice lead. It can all go south on pit lane with one little bobble.
Did you see him light it up on corner exit at turn 5 there? The Sonax Chevy stepped out a little bit, and that was pleasure to the eyes of Pato O'Ward, who might get a little bit closer at 1.5 seconds in arrears. Then there's a larger gap back to the Soncio Chevy of Scott McLaughlin. That's what it looks like up the back straight into turns 12 and 13.
And what a different race for Pato O'Ward than what we saw here a year ago.
A lot more measured.
A lot more measured, a lot more controlled, better handle on the race car. I think a better race car in general. So Will Anderson, his engineer, and him have worked very hard to make this thing more drivable than last year, and it's really paying off.
I wonder what tires drivers will pick for their last stint with their team. Checking in on pit lane. Marty, have you heard anything up front with any of the Penske drivers perhaps? What compound do you think they'll go with? Or Kevin Lee?
Any takers? Any takers?
scrambling around pit lane now to find out that very question. But
This is the time, though, when you're communicating with your team, Hinch, on the radio, trying to get feedback with your driver. Hey, what do you want? You want used reds? You want new blacks for the end? What's going to be the tire?
And that's just it. So per the rules, you have to run one set of the primary black sidewall tires and one sticker brand new set of the alternate red sidewall tires. Everyone has pretty much satisfied that rule now, so you have free choice for this last set. It's going to come down to how your car's balancing and how long you have to go.
So seeing as how nobody will talk to you guys, why don't you talk to yourselves? What would you do?
Well, we don't have all the data as we sit here right now, but based on what I've seen, give me reds. We both point at the same time. If this guy can do it on reds over the long stint, and there we go. Marty, what do you know?
Hey, there you are, Townsend. I would say everybody's kind of thinking primaries here. I see those sets being moved up towards the front, and we're quickly closing in on those stops. About, 8 laps here, you're going to see some drivers come in. So I think they're going to go primaries here for that final stint. But there are some teams who have sticker reds left. Would you take that gamble?
Well, those are the ones that didn't qualify particularly well. I don't know that I would go use reds. If sticker reds were available, I would take those. But if new blacks are available and I have used reds, I'll take the sticker blacks. You're pointing at Scott Dixon, James. Why?
Scott Dixon was the first driver who didn't qualify into Q3, so Q2, so he'll have the extra set of reds. He could be using reds at this last stint when
it gets interesting. So, Rinus VeeKay has led 50 of the 53 laps so far. The youngster going good. Can he handle the pressure from the big guys coming from behind? We'll see. 37 to go. A quick reminder that Carvana is giving all racing fans a behind-the-scenes look at Jimmy Johnson's second season in IndyCar, his first full season. Catch every turn as you follow him to the finish line in the docuseries Reinventing the Wheel, now streaming on carvana.com/racing. Some fans, some die-hard fans here enjoying what they're seeing in this Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. And a quick reminder too that on the first Saturday in May, you're invited to the Run for the Roses. The hats, the mint juleps, the pageantry, all of it you don't want to miss. It's the 148th running of the Kentucky Derby. Saturday, 2:30 Eastern, right here on NBC and also on Peacock. And by the way, this man here, Jimmy Johnson, will be in attendance. Remember when Joseph and Ashley Newgarden went? Joseph said it was one of the best sporting days of his life.
Alexander Rossi and I went for an event during May one year. It was quite an experience. The funny dresses and the hats and everything you had to wear. It was interesting.
So we've got 33 laps to go here at Barber Motorsports Park in Alabama. It has been a dream day for Rinus VeeKay and Ed Carpenter Racing. Out in front by about that steady margin of 1.5 or 2 seconds over Arrow McLaren SP's Pato Award, and then Team Penske's Scott McLaughlin. So it's Chevrolet 1, 2, 3. Then the first Honda is Alexander Rossi of Andretti Autosport, then Alex Palou, Scott Dixon, Will Power, and rounding out the top 10, Simon Pagenaud. Keep your eyes on those guys. They have been making good forward momentum.
There's VeeKay, that 2-second lead, but Hinch mentioned it earlier. I'm curious what Scott Dixon can do. Who's the best fuel saver in the business? Scott Dixon. Can he do the overcut, stay out longer in clean air, then pit and take sticker red tires?
He cannot take sticker red tires. I was corrected because he hasn't run his black tires yet. He has not run his primaries. He's used both sets of his sticker reds.
But I promise you he has saved mad fuel here. So he's set up well for the overcut. Dylan, what can you tell us more about the 9?
That is exactly their plan. They do have to put the blacks on, but Mike Cole is telling Scott, stay out if you can. We should be able to stay out here for at least an extra lap or two and do that overcut to get in clean air, ideally pick off a couple more spots. So they're a few laps away from pitting, but they are planning on staying out a couple extra laps if they can.
So Dixon is 6.7 back right now. His last lap was a 109.4. So if he stays out, we'll look how much quicker to a 109 he can turn.
He's told me this morning, he said, listen, qualifying didn't go as well as planned yesterday, but there was a few things that we should have and could have changed. I don't want to go into that, he said, but we are going to be good today. And the proof is right here in front of us. The PNC Bank Honda driver who has done every race here at Barber. Unfortunately for him, he's finished second 6 times, third twice. That win has been elusive. Who knows? Maybe it could be today in a shock.
It's kind of been the story of Scott Dixon's season so far. Not necessarily the qualifying performance that he wants, that the team wants, that we're used to seeing from him, but man, did they execute on Sundays, pulling off these strong results.
All right, here we go. Lap 59, starting lap 60. Does anybody dive in and try to gamble a little bit First 7 or 8 cars stay out. Dylan, what you got?
Well, guys, just quickly before stops, a cool initiative going on this weekend here with PNC Bank. It was Bring Your Daughter to Work Day for a lot of the PNC employees and special guests that were here. So they and their daughters got to spend some time with not only Scott Dixon, Jimmy Johnson, and Chip Ganassi, but a couple of the female engineers aboard the Chip Ganassi racing team. You have Anna Chatton on the 48 car for Jimmy Johnson, Angela Asmore with the Marcus Erickson car, and a really neat opportunity and initiative that is driving awareness and support for women in the racing workforce. So Dixon hoping to give all those young girls a good run this afternoon.
And another cool story is the AMR safety team this weekend is headed up by Dr. Julia Visor. So it's really gone through the entire ranks of motorsports on track, in the pits, and also with the safety team. So great to see what they're doing there.
So with the 2 stoppers, everybody stopped on lap 30, but they had the pace laps.
Yep.
So are we going to see somebody dive in here? If not, probably the next lap. Of the cars that are up front, here comes Alexander Rossi to pit lane, Graham Rahal, Simon Pagenaud. Power, Rahal, Herta, and Pagenaud have fresh red tires if they want to use them.
Kevin Lee standing by. Take it away, Kevo.
So Graham Rahal is going to come in. He wanted reds, but they're used reds. Can you make them last? That's going to be challenging. Simon Pagenaud, the biggest mover up to 10th, he has sticker reds to go. Marty.
Alexander Rossi going to put on primary tires here. 4th different pit crew combination this year for Rossi, but they deliver a nice stop here for the 27 who's been in the top 5 the entire day.
This is the medicine that this guy, this driver, this team needed on this car. A solid day and to come away with a solid result. We're not there yet. Still 30 laps to go before we know the outcome, but it's all looking good. It's looking more like we're used to with Alexander Rossi.
It's kind of been a switch of fortune so far this year. He's had decent Fridays, he's had okay Saturdays, and it's all sort of come unglued Sundays, but now he had a bad Friday as we see Rinus VeeKay, the leader, and Pato O'Ward 2nd place.
Smart decision for the 21. As soon as they caught slower traffic, straight to pit lane. It's all about average pace here.
By the way, Kev, before you take it away, that was an amazing in-lap from Pato O'Ward. He was not 2 seconds behind VeeKay at that point. This stop could be the difference.
Here's the top 3. Pato O'Ward, though, has the easy out. The leader, Rinus VeeKay. He'll watch Jeff Frederick, their chief mechanic, outside front. He lets him go. VeeKay beats out Pato O'Ward, and then Scott McLaughlin. All are on primary Firestones to finish the way. Fuel is not going to be a concern.
Well, the teams have done their part, guys, but now it's all going to be in the driver's hands. These outlaps on the cold primary tires, so tricky, so difficult to get the heat in them, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on Rinus VeeKay here from Pato O'Ward.
The 2 Chip Ganassi cars are out in front. Alex Palou and Scott Dixon yet to pit. Let's ride with fast hands. The Ninja O'Ward.
You see the green lights on the side of the dash.
Deep into turn 5. Round the outside of VeeKay. What a move from Pato O'Ward.
And was that the winning move of the race? Brilliant stuff from O'Ward. Absolutely sent it, and it paid off.
Great one on the radio from Taylor Kyle, just telling his driver that's how you do it, but he's now just got to keep his head down. He wants redemption for last year when Pole did not convert to a win. But now he has put himself in the catbird seat for sure.
And Diff, where O'Ward has to be careful is don't fry the rear tires. That's what got him in trouble last year, starting from pole like you talked about, James. O'Ward pushed too hard. I think they've improved their car tremendously as Colton Herta comes in for his last stop.
So too Romain Grosjean, so too Joseph Newgarden. Action on the track, action on pit road.
And you see Colton Herta on pit road. Townsend, you wanted sticker tires. Can I sell you 1 lap used red tires? That's what Colton Herta goes with. And a longer stop for the 26. We'll see if it costs him track position.
Dixon comes out. Dixon comes out right near Scott McLaughlin. Look at this. Side by side, no longer side by side. Dixon coming up to speed. McLaughlin already at speed. Turn 5. This is going to be VeeKay and O'Ward all over again, or will it? Yes, it is. McLaughlin around the outside of Dixon.
And Simon Pagenaud right there to pounce as well. McLaughlin had those
He's
high
a lot
tires.
of overtake here, a lot of overtake.
Scott Dixon on the cold primaries could not keep the rolling speed he needed and goes a little bit wide. Scott McLaughlin's off.
He got sideways on entry. Lost control. Gets it back again, but Dixon and Pagenaud are gone by.
Look at push to pass remaining. Scott Dixon in pretty good shape there. Everybody, as Palou comes to pit lane, Dixon with 120 seconds. McLaughlin with 147.
Can we talk about how McLaughlin only lost one spot and really no time at all? That was an incredible save. It was another unforced error. We saw one in Long Beach, a little more costly, but he recovered beautifully from this one as Pagano into the pit.
Let's watch Palou versus VK and Award, etc. Here they come. Pato Award up against Alex Palou. He's going to keep the front spot.
Look at Palou, though. He comes out in front of VK. That's a terrific job from Palou, saving fuel and giving him a chance for the overcut. Palou ahead of the guy that was about 4 seconds up the road from him only a few laps ago.
The American Legion Honda has a chance to defend its win in the hands of Alex Palou. It was his first IndyCar career win here a year ago, and now he's in an ideal position to take that fight to Pato Award.
Alex Palou went 33 laps on that last stint. I was saying Scott Dixon's the best fuel saver. Well, his young teammate has figured out the tricks. That was an amazing second stint from Palou to go that far on a tank of fuel.
Last one out there yet to pit is also a Ganassi driver. That's Marcus Ericsson. So we'll wait for the Husky Honda to come on in.
And what is VK thinking right now? I had this thing completely under control. We had a great pit stop. Now I'm third.
It's crazy how quick things can change here in the NTT IndyCar Series, Townsend. But he's just, he's got to learn. He's got two very experienced, championship contender in P1 and a championship winner in P2 in front of him.
You got three guys in the top three positions, all under the age of 25. Pretty impressive stuff. The new face of the NTT IndyCar Series. You're looking at it right here. Pato Award leads Alex Palou, leads Rinus VK. And then there's a gap. There's a gap of not quite 3 seconds back to the master. Here he is, Scott Dixon, and then McLaughlin, who'll be frustrated with that slight hiccup. He went into the museum complex a little hot. It stepped out. It was a tremendous save, did a bit of grass tracking, and then came back on. His teammate, Will Power, who started 19th, is right behind him in 6th. What a drive from Power.
And Will Power with the Reds, the fresh Reds. So this is his chance to make some hay here on his teammate Scott McLaughlin. McLaughlin, though, has been super quick on both red and blacks all weekend long.
If they stay as they are for another 25 laps, we'd have a third championship leader from just 4 races. Alex Palou would take the championship lead as McLaughlin shows us just how he saved it. Awesome stuff. We're back and we're racing in this final stanza of this Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. Teammate on teammate, Will Power continues this phenomenal run. From 19th, he now moves into the top 5.
You called that, Townsend. He had the alternate tires, that extra grip, and he is using it to great advantage. We talked about his ability to move through the field here in the past. 19th to 9th, absolutely incredible.
Where did this willpower patience come from in the 2022 season?
He told me the other day there was nothing I worked on harder through this winter than my mental strength. I know my body, I know I'm good, I know how fit I am, but I needed to be better upstairs. I needed not to get so upset so quickly. I needed to play the long game. I needed to be better. And he said, I know that it's working.
And here's the move. He was patient all day. He's waiting for his chance to pounce. He knows technically he has an advantage with those fresh Firestone Reds. And that was not exactly a patient move. That was more of a surprise dive bomb, but it paid off with a great teammate giving room there and allowing Power to go bold. But I'm going to call him the Renaissance man. It's pretty rare late in a career to reinvent yourself mentally and put that patience to good work. Remember, his worst finish coming into this race was 4th. That is the best worst finish of any driver in the field. Power driving for a championship this year.
Guess what today's going to do, Hinch? It's only going to give him more self-belief in that he has now improved mentally, psychologically, and he's stronger.
And they still haven't had a weekend go flawlessly for the 12 team. I mean, when they hit it, they're untouchable. They've had all these top 4 finishes. They haven't finished outside the top 5 so far this year. He's on track for another top 5. Very much the championship hunt, but wait for one of those weekends where they unload with the car that Will likes. He qualifies the way Will likes to qualify. He's going to be hard to beat.
By the way, guess what? Alex Palou might be hard to beat. Even though Pato Award leads, Palou is starting to zero in on the young Mexican driver. It's 1.2 seconds between first and second. VK is another 3 seconds back. This is far from over with 21 to go.
This kid is a fast learner. Rookie in 2020, champion in 2021, And now in this season, absolutely no weakness in his game. This is how he got past Rinus VK. A faster pit in lap, faster time on pit lane, actually slower in the box, but a faster out lap. It all added up to about 1.6 second advantage on the overcut for Alex Palou. He did that in Long Beach. He's doing it again here.
Have a look at the out lap. Nearly a full second faster.
Well, don't forget, VK had to battle Pato Award on his out lap.
That's true.
That slowed him up.
So you add that 1.6 seconds in to the advantage gained by the extra couple hot laps he did on that overcut, and overall that closed that 3.5 second gap that we saw to Rinus VK, Marty.
Sometimes, Hinch, when you win a race, it's not obvious where that happened, but in the middle of this second run, the run before this one, Barry Wanzer said to Alex Palou, if you can help me a little bit, I think we can go 1 lap longer than everybody else. He went 2 laps longer than everybody else. That gives him a tremendous tire advantage, it gives him a fuel advantage, and he is constantly analyzing what Pato Award has versus him. Where is he on overtake? Where has he been struggling today? He's asking a lot of questions as he's driving around here at about 150 miles an hour.
And Marty, as he drives around here, just take note at how calm his hands are. He's in second place. There's a win in the cards, but he is not overdriving. We haven't seen him dropping wheels. You don't see the the broadcaster's curse got him there. I was just saying how smooth he is, and he decided to liven things. Look at him relax his hands, like reminding himself, hey, calm down, don't overdrive.
Well, speaking of calm, we mentioned this on Peacock the other day during the practice sessions. Folks, look at his gloves, on the white gloves. You'll see a gorilla face on either wrist, on the back of his wrist there. That's because he loves them. He says that gorillas to him are quite calm creatures, but when they need to be aggressive and strong, they can be. And he said, that's the way I picture myself in the car. Be calm, but be strong.
You know, I ran into Alex over the winter coming back from the Rolex 24 at Daytona, and his championship, it did not affect him. I mean, he in a negative way. He showed up.
Hasn't changed.
He showed up to the season last year as this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed driver, happy to be driving an IndyCar, excited at the racetrack every time he was there. And he doesn't come with the confidence of a champion now. He comes with that same energy, that same desire to win. As now we watch Colton Herta pressuring Scott McLaughlin for 6th place.
Speaking of desire, inside turn 5, it's a big Hail Mary, but it might just work. Wheel to wheel, Honda versus Chevrolet, Penske versus Andretti.
McLaughlin left room for his teammate, but he's not going to leave room for Colton Herta. The Team Penske driver wants to hold this position.
And that was heads-up driving from Scott McLaughlin. You saw him turn out of it twice. He saw Colton coming from a mile back, gave him the room, maintained that momentum around the outside, and had to drive down the next straightaway into turn 8. So very heads-up defensive driving.
Still 20 laps to go. If McLaughlin can hold off Herta here, it'll force Herta to burn up those softer red tires. Right now, Herta has the advantage. In about 5 or 10 laps, I'd expect McLaughlin to have the advantage on tires.
And the other thing to remember now, guys, with 18 laps to go, we're getting into that sort of danger zone when it comes to physical fitness. This has been a very fast-paced race, not a lot of cautions, not a lot of opportunity for these drivers to rest, and the physicality of this track is going to start wearing on some of these guys, and I wonder if that becomes a factor late in this race.
McLaughlin left some clean air for Herta on the low line there, allowing him to get some good downforce on the front wing, but he can't get the drive off to make it work as they go to turn 5.
With 18 laps to go, these guys are hurting. This is the most physical track on the calendar. Hang in there. As you just saw in non-stop, this race has not failed to entertain. This has been incredible, and yet again it goes off the hook. The teammates are now together, Alexander Rossi and Colton Herta, after Colton Herta looped it around at turn 5 while arm wrestling with Scott McLaughlin. Up ahead, Will Power and Scott Dixon were tangling, but this is what went down. Have a listen.
This is a full send from way too far back. Colton Herta throwing caution to the wind, gets into McLaughlin, then loops it. Luckily doesn't stall. Let's watch the reaction here.
That's his dad, Brian.
He went from a battle for 6, and Colton Herta now finds himself back in 10th. Meanwhile, Will Power making moves on Scott Dixon. That is for 4th.
And kept it. As Herta was looping around, Power consolidated that move for 4th. So Award 1.6 seconds ahead of Palou. VK almost 5 seconds further back in 3rd. Then Will Power, Dixon, McLaughlin, Rahal, Grosjean, Rossi, and this man, Colton Herta, in the top 10.
James, we've been talking about temperament all year with Colton Herta. Had an issue at Long Beach. Where do you see that?
It was an aggressive move. The big difference from the last time he tried it was Scott didn't open up his hands and give him the room. And yeah,
but why should? I mean, Scott's like 3 car lengths ahead.
No, for sure. It's
no responsibility to open it up except, you know, basically just to give another position up, which McLaughlin's done all day. But man, that was awfully far back. Now Colton's got to get past his very quick and capable teammate Alexander Rossi, who needs a strong result, won't want to give up 9th very easily.
It's like we talked about with where he is in points. He kind of has to take these big swings. I don't know if it's worth the risk at this point, but he kind of has to go for it.
They gambled a bit in qualifying. That didn't work out. Gambled a bit there on that move. Now Colton Herta has a run again. Is he going to fire it up the inside once again in 5? No, falls in line. Meanwhile, Pato O'Ward up front, 1.6 seconds ahead of Palou.
All right, let's go through the field. Let's kick it off with Pato O'Ward. Kevo, go.
And we continue to be impressed with Chevrolet in 2022, trying to go 4 for 4 to start for the season for the first time since they came back to IndyCar a decade ago. Remember last year, Pato O'Ward couldn't make the Firestones last. Taylor Kyle said the front has some wear, but not concerned. He's in good shape right now, Marty.
Alex Palou, though, thinks he can catch Pato O'Ward. He's asked a lot of questions about the overtake, and that is not a pretty picture for Alex Palou. He only has 58 seconds left. O'Ward has 135. I asked him earlier this week, is there more pressure returning to Barber as the defending race winner? He told me less pressure because I know we can go there and win sitting in second, Kevin.
Rinus VeeKay is surely going to be disappointed if he doesn't win after dominating the first 2/3 of this race, but still, all things considered, from where they were with a miserable finish to last season to this season, great progress. A lot of it was the off-season. He basically had an extra room at his engineer Matt Barnes' house. They developed a relationship that has paid dividends this year. He's on pace for his first podium since Detroit last year, Marty.
Drive of the day to Will Power. Started 19th. He is up to 4th after that impressive move around Scott Dixon you saw a moment ago. And maybe even more impressive with the fact that Team Penske did not test here. They were way behind, Will Power told me on Friday. Power has not finished out of the top 4 this year. Looks like he's going to be in a good spot to do it again, Dylan.
And another big mover, Scott Dixon behind him, started 13th, Rise in 5th. Mike Cole, the strategist, admitted before the race they were going to need some help with some nicely timed yellows and the other drivers to maybe go off strategy, do something different than what they were doing. It's all worked out in their favor so far. They pulled off the overcut at the second round of stops. Dixon is in the mix right now as he rides in 5th, Kevin.
Dylan, Scott McLaughlin has lost a few spots, but still been hugely impressive. I think some felt he was a little bit overhyped last year, but coming into year number 2 in IndyCar, he has proven why there was so much conversation about the former Supercars champion. He's been the highest qualified Penske car in 3 of the 4 races, is still in line for his 3rd really strong result this season.
Got Graham Rahal to deal with, though, in that Code 3 Honda. We ride aboard with Graham right now. Final break, and then we'll take you all the way to the checkered flag here in Birmingham, Alabama. Welcome back, Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, James Hinchcliffe. We're going to take you all the way to the checkered flag with 9 laps to go. Make that 8. And thanks to our friends at Geico for bringing us these cool images. High above Barber Motorsports Park on a day that started with thunderstorms and rain. Looked pretty ugly. It has been a blue sky day ever since. And we have been treated to a really interesting race that's far from done.
Far from done as Graham Rahal continues to pressure McLaughlin. Remember, Rahal, one of the few cars on the final stop that had fresher reds. McLaughlin on the harder blacks. 9 laps to go. I gotta say, James, the reds have held up incredibly well today.
They sure have, Townsend. Firestone brought a new compound of both tires, both compounds. New construction, a little bit harder, a little bit more durable, and I think we're seeing that. But as impressive as this battle is, it's the guy behind Graham Rahal right now running in P8 that I'm most impressed with, Romain Grosjean. Since that restart, he is up 11 spots, guys, and because of that progress, he's now surpassed Colton Herta as the highest pass number on track. So he is moving his way up through the field. He was a 3-stopper, got hurt by that caution period, but he is really making the most of it.
Yeah, but Colton Herta's the one that's really going to be kicking himself because he's ahead of Grosjean. He was the best of the 3-stoppers, making all those passes for Graham Rahal just ahead there. You saw it on push to pass. He only has 1 second remaining to McLaughlin's 64. So maybe being quicker in the corners is going to be negated by no more push to pass effectively left to get by on the straights.
2 good races in a row for Romain Grosjean in that Innovate Honda. Think about what he did at the streets of Long Beach on the podium, and another strong run here. Rahal is looking for any option on McLaughlin.
And if you're McLaughlin, all you have to do is study your mirrors. If Rahal gets a good exit, you just kind of click that button a little bit, boost, boost, boost. And very frustrating if you're Rahal, knowing McLaughlin has that advantage.
There's no worse feeling than being in this position, a faster car, the better tire, but you don't have the push to pass left to make that overtake happen. You just were a little too greedy early in the race, a little too trigger happy, but that is the name of the game, conserving that and needing it, having it for when you need it at the end. But Marty's got a little more information on this man right here, Romain Grosjean.
Yeah, with 7 to go, he's certainly closing that gap. They have made him aware that he has much more push to pass in the 1 second that Graham Rahal has left. And talking to Romain during the week, he told me, listen, this is really what I feel like the first time I've had my setup on an Andretti Autosport car. I've been using Alexander Rossi's setup or Colton Herta's setup earlier this year. So I have my setup, so that's the most comfortable I've been in this race car. By far the best Andretti Autosport car that I have had, but the 3 stoppers certainly catching them out. But to go from 19th to 8th and now trying to make this move,
here we go.
Impressive.
Here we go. Drag race. McLaughlin's going to have the preferred line. We've seen plenty of action in this section of the track all weekend, and McLaughlin himself lost a position to Scott Dixon there several laps ago. For those of you tuning in as well to catch the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, that will be coming up as soon as we are done with this Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama with 6.5 laps to go. Not even that.
And guys, this is a great drive from Scott McLaughlin right now. Maybe a few positions down from where he started, but a championship kind of drive. When you don't have the car to win, you bring home those 5th, 6th, 7th places. And with the pressure that he's under right now from both Graham Rahal and potentially soon Romain Grosjean, being on those harder primary tires, he is doing a brilliant job positioning his car and keeping him just far enough back from making a pass attempt.
Alex Palou is kind of varying from 1.3 to 1.6 seconds behind this man here, 22-year-old Mexican Pato O'Ward.
I've been watching the hands out of the corner of my eye, the onboard camera for Pato O'Ward, and he looks so smooth. Remember last year what fell apart for O'Ward was too much oversteer, too loose of a race car balance-wise, and he just burned up the rear tires. Let's just ride for a couple corners here and see how the progress is with balance this year. Looks really good right there. How about turn 1, one of the fastest corners on the track right here.
5 laps to go.
Excellent. So they've made big improvement, in my opinion, year over year. They've made the 2-stop strategy work. They had to bail on that last year because they couldn't hang on to the car. Pato O'Ward sitting pretty and with a strong advantage on push to pass.
Think about this, Kevin. There is a new contract on the line for Pato O'Ward. A win would make all parties feel very good about that.
And this is another reminder of how important the middle aspect is to any sport. And he was clearly not in his happy place to start the season. He made it known at St. Petersburg that I may not be here next year. I don't know where I'm going to be. I'd like to have a better contract. And it did not go well the first few races. He had a reset at Long Beach. Not only talking with family, but also a good conversation with Taylor Kyle, who you see, and also Zach Brown. They eventually worked out the major parts of a contract that's still being reviewed, but he expects to sign that soon. He's no longer thinking about Formula One, anything else. This is where he wants to be. Great result at Long Beach, driving through the field to 5th, and now in line for win number 3.
So, Hinch, if the contract isn't signed and you win, technically you can ask for more?
Yeah, I think that's not exactly how it works, but I'm sure he's going to ask. I'm sure he's going to try.
Hey, the answer will always be no if you don't ask.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But Zach Brown's a smart guy. He's been around racing drivers long enough. He knows how to handle it.
Somewhere Zach is telling Townsend to shut up. Good stuff. Been watching the gap with Dixon and McLaughlin tightening up a little bit. McLaughlin had to hold off Rahal and Grosjean. We've been talking about that. But maybe now things are calming down behind McLaughlin. Could he have a run at Scott Dixon in the final few laps here?
Well, look at this. Talk about a run. Grosjean on the inside of Rahal. Graham gives Romain, plenty of room. There's contact.
Oh,
There's more
Grosjean
contact.
hits him twice.
I think he aimed for him the second time. That was
Yeah.
almost as bad as that Jimmy Johnson pass.
exit.
No, that's
No, sorry,
100% on the 28 there. That was contact twice on him.
And by the way,
Guy's
Grosjean's
a punk.
Grosjean's
Hit me on purpose.
I 100% agree with Graham on that.
Graham Rahal just said that guy hit me on purpose.
Well, tune in for the Peacock post-race show. I was going to say Grosjean's a pretty big fit dude, but Graham's a little bigger. That'd be a good one to watch.
be an interesting quarrel, but let's try and take another look at that one. Coming off, I mean, he's got plenty of room to the left.
He just drove into him.
He just opened his hands and drove into him. And I mean, look at the room. Graham saw him coming. He went around the outside, and even here, the first contact, you could maybe argue that was just accidental, but that one,
Road Rage City.
That was one, that was two. I wonder which form three's going to come in.
Well, I wonder what race control says about that second one.
no harm, no foul.
Marty?
To Grosjean's point, that was the second time he feels like Graham cut him off there at the apex. So not sure if you guys agree, but that's what Romain feels.
McLaughlin's probably looking in his mirrors going, oh man, what's going on back there? Here comes Graham Rahal. Graham's like, the best way to fix this is get by McLaughlin.
Put a car between us.
He's got a little fired up for these closing 2.5 laps on what's been a pretty cool day here in Birmingham, Alabama. Pato O'Ward en route to his third career victory. He's not there yet. He's extended his advantage over Alex Palou. VK's kind of in his own race, although Will Power's only 2 seconds in arrears. So that final step on the podium not decided yet.
Smooth sailing out front for O'Ward. 2 laps to go there. Hands are looking confident and predictable, but anything but predictable with this battle as Grosjean has gathered himself up and ready for another swing.
Hey guys, we've heard how animated Pato can be on the radio. Total change now. He's been coached on what he needs to do to save fuel, save tires. He said, I got it, bud. Don't worry. We're good.
Hey, Kev, meanwhile in the 10 camp, they're telling Alex Palou, the 5, really tight on fuel, keep pressuring him, keep pushing, and to that point, Pato O'Ward has not used overtake this entire run, so they think it still might be a game for Alex Palou here.
He pitted 2 laps earlier than Alex Palou, so is that going to be the difference on this final lap coming up? We'll see. Turn 16, turn 17, and Pato O'Ward will see a clear track ahead with a white flag. 1 more to go for the Arrow McLaren SP driver.
You can have all the overtake you need.
You can have all the overtake
good on
you need.
fuel, and what a result this is for this team. It was a rocky start, but they gathered it up, and today they've executed perfectly, and execution has been the problem. Problems on pit lane, problems with setup, no issues today. They weren't the fastest car starting up front, but over the course of the race, he's made all the right moves, as has his team, James.
I spoke to his engineer, Will Anderson, earlier this weekend, and I said, hey, Will, give me your report card grade so far for the first 3 races. He said B, maybe a B-. We've had some pace, but we haven't had the execution, like you just said, Townsend. So that was the key here this weekend. They knew they had a good car being a pole sitter last year. It was about executing on race day, and they have all done their part.
Wait a second, there's a little lap traffic here for Pato O'Ward. He's going to catch him, I think, into the final couple corners, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
And he's going to win for the 3rd time on a 3rd different circuit. Texas Motor Speedway last year, followed by the Detroit Street Course race, but now on a permanent road course. Pato O'Ward, who had a frustrating start to the year, here at Barber Motorsports Park, he's going to win again, but for the first time here, Pato O'Ward.
Checker flag, baby.
The Ninja
Nice drive.
is back.
Excellent job. Well
He
deserved.
wins at Barber Motorsports Park to keep Chevrolet's amazing run going.
So Will Anderson on the right, Taylor Kyle, the strategist. Very, very happy crew, guys. The number 5 McLaren team executed perfectly today, as did this man right here. Brilliant, brilliant drive.
Mr. Fast Hands, the Ninja strikes at Barber Motorsports Park in a very calm and measured way to get that win for Arrow McLaren SP over Chip Ganassi Racing's Alex Palou and Ed Carpenter Racing's Renus VK, who led the most laps in this race. Taylor Kyle, the president of the team, delighted with his young charge to come away with the victory. And it was a very decisive move on Renus VK on an outlap after the last pit stop in turn 5 that sealed the deal for Patricio O'Ward.
And guys, a second place for Alex Palou at a track that he won at last year. That's when he started his championship campaign, and now after finishing second, he takes over the points lead, guys. He led from here to the end last year. I'm sure the 10 crew is looking to do the same, and the top 4 haven't changed. Palou's gone up 2 spots, Joseph Newgarden down 2, Will Power still in third, but the gap has tightened. It's now only 10 points that cover the top 4 in the championship.
And after 4 races, 3 different championship leaders. Hey, let's take a look at the Children's Miracle Network moment of the race. It's as simple as this moment of the race. And Townsend, you called it. That could have been the pass for the win. It was.
Beautiful execution from Pato O'Ward. VK defended to the inside. O'Ward rim shotted it there and never looked back.
Pretty good way to get the month of May going.
Absolutely. Had a great test at the Indy Open test, gelling with the team. They're all on the same page now. Things are looking good. How about this? Ray Hall and Rossi having a little conversation.
Out of gas, maybe?
Well, I think he's talking about Grosjean. Look at him. Ray Hall say, this is what he did to me. Hit me twice.
And you cannot do that.
You talked, Townsend, about the unfiltered Graham Rahal that we've seen so far this year. It'll be interesting to get his comments when he gets back to pit lane.
Let's get a mic down there.
And Grosjean got Rahal on the last lap. That was the incident, but Grosjean got there to 7th over Rahal, so that's only going to exacerbate Graham's frustration.
This is a great view. Let's find out, is Grosjean, oh, this is last lap then.
Yeah.
Graham was running out of fuel, guys. He had to live just to coast to the finish.
That's why he pulled off at the exit of turn 1. He wouldn't even make it back on the cool down lap.
That's because he'd use all his push to pass
Here comes
as well.
Graham Rahal.
So Rahal ending up 8th, Rossi 9th. Colton Herta, after his spin, after contact with Scott McLaughlin, ends up in 10th.
And remember, we're not done with yet. We will have a whole lot more when you make the switch over to Peacock for the post-race show. A reminder, the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship is coming up in a matter of moments from WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in beautiful Salinas, California. Right there on the water. Beautiful part of the world and a fantastic racetrack, but not until we are done here on what was a pretty dramatic day at Barber Motorsports Park. 3rd career win for Pato O'Ward on 3 different types of track. This one's going to feel good considering the way the season started. Marty?
That's a great point, Diff, with all the turmoil that started with the Arrow McLaren team. Pato O'Ward told us before Long Beach, I put it behind me, and here he is in victory lane. In race number 4 of the season. And what a smooth weekend as well for the 5 bunch. Nice to see you in victory lane, Pato. Win number 3, but I got to ask you about how aggressive you had to play that pass on VK to get the lead. And at the moment, did you know that was maybe the pass for the win?
Yeah, but Taylor told me that we're fighting for the win when we almost got him in the pit stop. So I said, no, this is a chance, man. It was so tough to follow just because it's such a fast and flowing circuit. So I knew if I would have the opportunity, it would have been right then and there. So I got on my button and got around him into 5. And you know, I knew if we would get into clean air, we could kind of control the thing. So once we did that, it was, cruise to victory lane.
There was a lot of turmoil around this team. Just a few weeks ago, you came into Long Beach saying, I'm putting it all behind me. How much did that mental shift help you behind the wheel?
Man, it sucks to be at war within your own team, right? So I'm glad that there's been very positive talks for the future, and man, I wanted to do it for these guys. I wanted to do it for Arrow McLaren SP, Team Chevy. They've swept this year so far, so I think it's great for them. And yeah, man, I was tired of being 10th and 11th and 5th, so I said, let's get a win under our belt so we can claw our way back into this championship fight.
And he has done that. Pato O'Ward winds up in victory lane here at Barber Motorsports Park.
Sure feels good. And that's the 4th different winner here the last 4 times, by the way. So the month of May is underway in spectacular fashion. Hope you can join us at Indianapolis for the GMR Indy Grand Prix. That's Saturday, May 14th in a couple of weeks, right here on NBC. Coming up next, as we mentioned, it's the IMSA Sports Car Championship from WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. What a day we had here, and we'll still have more when you make the switch over to Peacock to see the post-race show. Sports cars coming up next on the other side of this break. On behalf of the entire team, thanks so much for watching the NTT IndyCar Series here on NBC. For those of you who have made the switch to Peacock, welcome. Thanks for that. What a day we've had. 90 laps right there on that 2.3 mile track that gave us a lot to talk about. And we've got the third different leader of this series after just 4 races. Isn't that amazing? So Scott McLaughlin led, then Joseph Newgarden, now Alex Palou. So speaking of Alex Palou, here he is with Dylan Welsh.
And he does indeed come home in the runner-up spot. And you guys talked about the tire difference there and the pit stop difference. Pato had a couple laps on you when you came out of the pits for your second stop. Was that the difference ultimately?
Well, we had a good day overall. Super happy with the P2. Yeah, I don't know. He was running second at that time. I think we were running fourth, and just that track difference, that's what got us. I think I did a mistake on a restart, and the 27 got us there. So I think that was all the difference. The number 5 was really fast today, but yeah, super happy with the number 10 American Legion Honda car. Was super fast all weekend, and another podium. So we were fighting till the end. Couldn't make it today, but we'll try on the next one.
And you obviously continue your strong start to the year, and we get ready it's officially now the month of May, and we're obviously going to IMS for a couple different races, but how are you feeling heading into the month here through 4 races?
Yeah, amazing. We couldn't started the year better. The month of May is here, as you said, it's today, so cannot wait. Such a special month for us. Starting with Indy Road Course, I think it's going to be awesome. Like we had good cars there in the past, so yeah, cannot wait. And Indianapolis 500 is coming.
And how big is it just to go into not only the Grand Prix but the 500 too? Just to be really solid. You guys have run well on the street course, you run well on the ovals. You're really firing on all cylinders, it seems like.
Yeah, we have a really solid overall group, let's say. We've been really strong in street courses and road courses. I'm missing a little bit on ovals, but I got really comfortable doing the test days there at the Speedway, so cannot wait to go there and show if we have something.
Alex Palou starts the month off strong. He finishes second today at Barber. Kevin.
Dylan, I think kind of the look on Rinus VK's face as he chats with Ed Carpenter, his team owner, and his engineer Matt Barnes, of disappointment after a podium, the third of his career, kind of shows where this program is at right now. Start on pole, so let's just get right to it. You lead 2/3 of the race. You win the race off pit road on Pato. How did he get by you there in the out laps?
Yeah, we were in a great race, and then actually coming into pit lane, I really got held up a little bit by Jimmy. So he closed in the gap a lot, Pato. And then coming in pit lane, we beat him out there, so we had a good pit stop, showed that we improved there. And I was so much looking in my mirrors that I kind of forgot to use the push to pass because I was so fuel conservative all race. Yeah, I was a little bit too conservative there, so mistakes on me. So yeah, pretty bummed about missing out on that win, but yeah, we had a great car, great race.
And that's all part of the process. You look pretty mature, but you're 21 years old, so these things are going to happen. It's pretty good to be disappointed with a third place result from where things were at last summer. Where's the program at right now?
I think we're really good. I think we're better than the beginning of last year. We hadn't really challenged for pole last year, and now we really did. So I think we improved there, and I think coming into Indy Road Course, Indy 500, and a few races afterwards, we're all going to be right there. I think that those are our best races.
Yeah, the beginning of last year was good, and now you go to Indianapolis on the road course where you won a pole a couple of years ago. You got that win last year. How excited are you to head to Indy? Not only for that, but in the Indy 500 where you've always been fast.
Yeah, I'm very excited. That's kind of my track. Got my first podium ever there, my first pole position ever, and then my first win ever. So very excited for that track. I think we can do great there, and definitely many lessons learned here today.
Thanks, Rinus. Rinus VK finishes third. Marty.
Romain Grosjean deserves to sit down after that drive on the last stint from 19th to 7th. A, impressive, but B, we heard the radio with Graham Rahal. You said he got into me again, so were there multiple times that you two made contact?
Yeah, we touched a couple of times, but it was good racing. It was tough out there. Just, Barber is a very good track, but very hard to pass, especially when you're a train. If the guy in front of you doesn't have anyone in front, then you can try different line, but there we're all in line, so it was quite tricky. So yeah, here we touch a bit, and then here we touch again, So, well, it's good racing, I guess. It's IndyCar, wheel-to-wheel action. Sadly, we didn't get the right strategy. I mean, the three-stop didn't work. The three-stop didn't work today, and we were better than others on tires. So, well, hey, on to the next one. The win wasn't for today, but hopefully next week.
So Graham accused you of aiming for him, like intentionally trying to hit him. That the case?
No. I think it's just hard racing. I was late on the brake as he was. There was a bit more grip on the outside line, so I was a bit deep in the corner, but it was a gentle touch, and it was okay.
I heard you very vocal on the radio. How tough was not only lap traffic, but coming up through the field with all the cars?
Yeah, it was a bit frustrating today to, first of all, we squatted yesterday. I went as fast as we thought we would, and today we were the best on the tires. I did my fastest lap on the last lap of the second set of reds that were used reds, so we had really good pace. I think because of the track layout, because it's so hard to pass, there's a lot of wheel banging, and obviously today I wanted more than sevens, but it's good points for the championship.
All right, nice run for Romain Grosjean, especially that last run there, Kevin.
Well, let's get the other side of this story with Graham Rahal. We heard your radio communication. Romain just said, no, that was not on purpose, just good hard racing. How do you feel about the contact?
Does Townsend want honest, Graham, or do I have to behave today? Which one do we prefer?
We like honesty.
Well, I just think it's clear. Just watch the in-car camera and look at the angle of his head. To me, when I can see in the mirror that his head is directed this way when the track is going this way, it's pretty self-explanatory. And I gave him room. Scotty, to me, Scotty, I was trying this outside move on Scotty the whole time. So I knew Romain was going to dive bomb me because I'd already been warned that's what he's doing. But look, we're already straight there. Why are you turning into me? Like, in your right front is at my left rear. There's no excuse for that. Here, why? Look at him. Just releases the car to hit me, and then here again. Boom, we're straight. But until the officials would do something about it, look at that. Look how much room he has. And then here we're straight and hits me again. I'm just frustrated because this isn't the first time. It's St. Pete. He hit everybody he could hit. We come here. He hit Ross. He hit Herta. Hit me. At some point we got to clean up our act. But overall, let's turn to the positive. Code 3 Associates car was good. The pit crew was amazing today. We came up a little short on fuel, which was disappointing. We had a little telemetry issue. But you know what? We raised a lot of money for Turns for Troops. We're doing good things. We're improving. Our race cars are getting better. And I'm excited for the future for our team. I'm just disappointed to have to let him by on the last lap.
As you said, it's 3 good results now, 3 top 8s this season. I'm going to go back one more time. Should race control do something about this post-race?
I'll let you guys decide. I think James, Townsend, Kev, you've been around a long time, Diff, everybody. You guys know. And when it's I won't name, but as another driver in the series told me, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And, it's kind of been his reputation over his whole career in Europe, and we're learning his reputation quickly here. So to me, if race control doesn't want to do anything, then they're not going to do anything. But when we go and punt him, they better not do anything to me, which in the past, I've been penalized for a lot less than that.
Thank you, Graham. Diff.
So there you have it, fellas. Time to have your say on it. T-Bell, I'll kick it off with you.
I'm on board with Graham's perspective based on all the angles and the replays. I think Grosjean was well within the vision and control of his car to avoid contact if he wanted to. Grosjean seemed to back up his complaints a little bit in the interview there, just saying, oh, that's hard racing and a light touch. Well, let's not forget, he scud missiled there in F1. That was a big hit, so light touch for Grosjean's a little different than the rest of us. But he can see the car. He knows what's going on. That looked pretty intentional to me. I understand why Graham's frustrated. And I think you got to be careful in this series because it's a pretty broad spectrum that they allow in terms of the needle of responsibility and all of that. And if you feel like you've been done wrong, there is an opportunity to get guys back, as Graham explains very clearly there to Rossi what he's been through.
Yeah, I think Graham is spot on in sort of where the responsibility lies there. there. I'm just trying to look at it from another perspective. The only thing I can see as Grosjean's defense.
Look at
no,
that.
never
That's
mind.
ridiculous.
That angle just actually took. I was going to say the track starts to curve back to the left a little bit there, but it's after they were ahead. So yeah, Roman could see exactly where he was. He definitely backed his comments down from what we were hearing on the radio.
Leave it to the Canadian to try to be diplomatic and tell footage.
Hey,
until we had beautiful footage.
I was just trying to play devil's advocate. I agreed with you right off the bat when it first happened. So yeah, I mean but I don't necessarily agree with Graham's take that race control should get involved in that. You know, I think
Graham's point is if you don't, then the ire builds and you keep score. And Graham's point is, hey, when I settled the score, don't you race control forget what you allowed.
As long as settling the score doesn't involve spinning a car out, because nobody went around in that case. That's where the line is a bit fine. We looked at what happened, you know, with Jimmy Johnson and I forget if it was Elio or Pagenaud. It was one of the Meyer-Shank cars down in turn 9.
That was Elio.
And he got
Jimmy Johnson.
You know, he got spun around, so there was a penalty. This was more egregious contact, in my opinion, than what happened down in turn 9, but there was no outcome that
but
was.
He couldn't do it because he didn't get past him until the last lap of the race, so he couldn't give the position back. You know what I mean? So what would you penalize him? A time penalty? You know, you see what I mean?
But I'm saying I wouldn't in this case.
But you wouldn't. You just let it go.
Well, but if you're using your car in retaliation to proactively contact another car,
you can't do that.
Can't do that. It's not like this is Laguna at the end of the season, guys. We're heading into the month of May, Indianapolis. You got to, I mean, at some point, you got to draw the line somewhere. If they don't do it, the drivers will.
So look, I mentioned this earlier in the call. There is the changing face right there of IndyCar for the future. You got the champion in second place, Alex Palou on the left, the race winner, Pato O'Ward in the middle, and the 21-year-old Rinus VeeKay, the pole man who led the most laps in this race. The future sure looks bright, Dylan Welsh.
It does indeed, and we're breaking toe straps here on cars. There's all kinds of drama going on down here. Scott Dixon came home in 5th, and I think all things considered, considering maybe how qualifying went yesterday, you guys have to be fairly happy with that, I would think.
Yeah, I think for the PNC Bank Honda, we just, if we start a little further up, it will make our days a lot easier. But we had great pace. I think the only issue we had today was, you know, we had a bit of a fumble on a pit stop, and then we kind of tuned the car too much for the reds on the first 2 stints. And once I got to that last stint on the blacks, I was so loose. I was holding on from lap 1. So thankfully we held on to it, gave up a spot to Power there that was on reds. But you know, we've got to start further up, man. It's just these mistakes that we're making in qualifying. It's just not acceptable, and it's making race days much harder.
Let's talk quickly about that battle with Will, because that was entertaining. And behind you at the same time, you had 2 more guys that were running into each other. So what is that overlap like when somebody's on red, somebody's on blacks? How do you manage all of that and keep track of who's on what?
Well, it's great when you're the stronger car. You feel like King Kong. But yeah, we had some lap traffic there that kept coming out of the pits. And when you have a problem and you get into traffic, it just makes that problem even worse. So when I got stuck behind the 14 there, I just got so loose, and I was a bit of a sitting duck. So kudos for Will. He had a huge comeback today after their issues in qualifying. So I've got to keep our head down. But we've definitely got some good momentum. We've come from some big deficits and saved a lot of points. And we've got a peak coming this month. So we'll try.
Yeah, I mean, is there a good time as any to be peaking, if that's how you guys feel right now as we head to IMS?
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of things to try and help, but ultimately I think as a group we're working well together. But yeah, the end of this month is the time to peak, and hopefully that comes true.
Thank you, Scott. P5 today for Dixon, Marty.
An impressive run for Will Power, 19th to 4th, and clearly on merit. No pit strategy, nothing crazy happened, but let's talk about that battle with Dixon. You made a couple of aggressive moves. Your teammate Scott McLaughlin, nice pass on him, and then the pass on Dixon as well.
Yeah, I thought I needed to take advantage of those reds early, so I did my best to get by those guys as soon as possible. But yeah, turn 5 seemed to be my spot. Kind of go for the big dive bomb with a first down to first gear. But yeah, really stoked to get the Verizon Chevy up to 4th, man. I really didn't expect to be that far up. We were hoping for a top 10. That's what we talked about in the strategy meeting. But the good thing is when you don't qualify well, you have good tires. So we had good tires for the end there, and we had a pretty good pace. So great strategy by the team, and just a good effort all around. Really solid day.
We've talked about your mental approach. We talked about it a lot during the race today and how you kind of changed that. I noticed it on Friday, and then yesterday after qualifying. You didn't seem to let it bother you. How much is that helping you to kind of approach things a little bit different this year?
Man, I've been around for so long. It's my 17th year, so I just know the game so well. And you know, it ebbs and it flows. You have your good and bad days, and all you can do is your best. And I mean, there's not much you can do. I'm just trying to enjoy it while I'm doing it.
When you look at the championship standings, fourth again for your race team. Haven't finished worse than fourth this year, but it's tough to make ground, isn't it? Because all the other guys are finishing up there as well.
Yeah, when you got guys like Palou, who's just is there every time, every single race. I mean, he's as solid as a rock, and obviously my teammates as well. So it is very tight at the front. It'll be interesting coming out of May. You got that double points race for the 500, and that can make or break you because you've got a 33 cars in the field. So if you have a DNF there, that's a huge hit on double points. So certainly aiming to get that one right.
What a day for Will Power. Comes from 19th to finish fourth, and now heads to the Indy GP, one of his best racetracks.
And Marty, I think another really impressive day for Scott McLaughlin, just in his second season driving Indy cars, or really any kind of Formula cars other than a few Formula Ford races. So tell me about your day, bringing it home in sixth.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty solid. Like our goal all year is to be top 7, just to continue like getting those points. And you know, we didn't lose one place, we just didn't gain any points. But at the end of the day, I felt like we had a pretty solid start running third there. I probably could have saved a bit more fuel in the middle of the race, maybe to cover Dixon and Palou, and then I made my own mistake that I managed just to hold on. It was a bit of rally costs, Donkey Kong style. It was crazy. It's crazy. But
You were chatting with Scott Dixon before we came on. What is that experience doing for you, racing people like Scott Dixon and learning from them and staying up with them?
Yeah, we're up with the big guys up the front there, and yeah, I managed to get past Scotty on the exchange into turn 5 around the outside there, and then unfortunately, yeah, just made that little mistake. But yeah, we had his measure towards the end, but just very hard to pass once the tyres got old. And I was trying to defend myself. I had a fair bit going on and had a bit of a trolley train going on behind me.
Well done, thank you. Scott McLaughlin heads now to Indianapolis, and his momentum continues to Dylan Welch.
And let's see if we can grab Colton Herta here. We're trying to get out of the sun and underneath the tent here. And obviously, I know not the finish that you guys wanted, so take me through that battle there for position when you went off.
I was just a little over-ambitious, but, you know, our race was toast at that point anyways. Unfortunate time yellow, and, you know, it looked like the 3-stop was going to work, but it seemed to just not work. So, in the end, from the yellow. But I was happy with the car. Car was really fast. Cambridge car was really fast. Seemed like Hondas were fast again, so that's enticing. But we'll have to wait and see till next time.
I know you have all the faith in the world in your guys and the calls that get made and things like that. Where are you at mentally just with the strategy calls and the things that you guys have done this weekend and other races throughout the year too as we get ready to head to the month of May?
It wasn't the wrong strategy call. The 3-stop was going to work. We were going to beat all the 2-stoppers with the pace that we were running, but the part that screwed us was Callum going off and causing the yellow. So unfortunately, these things kind of, you know, happen when you do the 3-stop versus the 2-stop. You can be bit a little bit more, but, you know, starting 10th, we had to go for something outside the box.
He was the show for sure, just not the finish that they wanted. Colton Herta comes home 10th today.
Incredible the way that he worked his way through the field. So, updated standings. Third different series leader after just 4 races. Alex Palou leads Scott McLaughlin by 3. Newgarden dropped 2 spots, and then Will Powers hanging in. Look how tight it is. Top 10 blanketed by 60 points. Top 5 blanketed by 30. Couldn't ask for it to be any better.
The top 4 or 10, that's the difference between a first place and a second place. Yeah. It's like that's how close it is.
Well, it's these guys, the Papaya Padres right here in the 5 car that have a big old momentum swing coming into the month of May. Huge win today. They moved up 4 spots to 5th in the championship. And if they could have a big month of May, look out, Award is on a roll.
He begins May 1st, with a first. Nice work. So let's remind you on what is happening on what particular day. Next up in a couple of weeks, May 14, it's the GMR Grand Prix on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course. Then we'll go into 500 qualifying on May 21-22. Carb Day is back. And then, of course, we have the big one, the Indianapolis 500 on Memorial Day weekend, May 29. Can't wait. Let's kick off the month of May here at Indianapolis.
VK looking up the middle.
Rinus VK wins.
Yeah! Yeah!
Dixon grabs his 4th Indianapolis 500 pole position. This is, and always will be, the greatest spectacle in racing.
Look at the crowd. They know history's on the line. Welcome to the four-time club, Elio Castro Neves.